All right, got it. That was how quick it was to find a good burn for you this game, Strath. Okay, well, welcome to episode 15 of the If You Know You Know podcast, and introducing the man who would try to play an Eidolon Big Dog every round is your host, Mike Price. Thank you, everyone. It's a pleasure to be back. Joining me this week, as ever, a long-armed and long-legged beast of a man. It's Lenny Greenfield.
Thanks.
And our special guest this week, unfortunately, the run finally had to come to an end. This is the man who has now cast who has now cast 7 votes in this game, only two of which have actually been for the player that left. It is Strath.
That's one hell of a record right there.
And how many of them were for an immune player as well?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
we can look at your voting record. I didn't actually realize until I looked at it just now. Yeah, you've got that is awful. And one of them was for Zal when like that was an 8 to 7 to 1 vote or something.
But at that point, you were 100%, so should have just gone out there.
It all went downhill after I got voted out. It got to my head.
How you doing, Strath?
Uh, I'm good. I'm good. It's been a long day.
What are you up to at the moment? Whereabouts are you?
Right now, I'm at home in Watford, but I've been on site today. Site quite far away, which I'm not really meant to talk about. It's I'm under an
Oh,
NDA for it, so
Oh well,
potentially.
don't worry.
At the
Luckily, we're
point,
not recording this, and we're not going to post it anywhere.
yeah, I was gonna say maybe not when stuff's being recorded. It's probably not in my best interest.
Yeah, can you tell us in excruciating detail exactly what you've been up to today?
Yeah. To be fair, I've literally just been sat behind the computer all day, actually. But yeah, with regards to what I'm working on and stuff, it's not something I'm gonna discuss whilst I'm being recorded.
it's
Like
just
your camera quality is incredible.
I
yes.
couldn't tell. Like, it looks great on my screen, but I wasn't sure if like on you guys' screens it wouldn't be as good.
I'm trying to figure out if I've got a blur on the back of mine, which must be throwing things off a bit. But yeah.
I do have a light that is essentially pointed directly into my face, so if I look at that, I'm just staring into a light bulb.
Yeah, yeah. No, very
My
good.
my light just sort of doesn't carry properly to this part of the room, so I think it's just quite dark. I'm
Yes.
going to your old house. Well, not your old house, but your old stomping ground of Glasgow this weekend.
What for?
And I'm going to see, TG Robbo lives up
Oh
there.
yeah, he's up there. He dropped me a message a few months ago. He was like, I haven't spoken to him in a while, and every now and then he chimes up or I chime up with him, and he just said, "Oh, I'm up in Glasgow. Have you got any one recommendations and two frisbee recommendations?" And I was like, "Yeah." I recommended a few things, but I haven't been in Glasgow in 5 years now, 4 years now, properly. Apart from men's regionals, nationals, whatever it was that we all loved. I was hungover for half of and was thoroughly hated for the other half
Oh,
of.
I forgot about that. Yeah, bloody hell.
Yeah, I feel like
Yeah.
for you, not maybe not the best weekend in the world,
Oh,
but
I loved it. I loved it every minute.
so I think one of my highlights was in that all-you-can-eat restaurant where you just couldn't eat anything, and you just had like some
we,
jelly beans on your plate
we
that you
paid
ended up
like
paying.
25 quid to go to that restaurant, and all I had was like three chips and three chicken nuggets and loads of jelly beans. And there was a McDonald's downstairs. I could have got the exact same stuff for a five. Yeah, that wasn't my prettiest evening.
I
Yeah.
remember the end of that meal. I think someone brought a dessert back. I can't remember. I've got a feeling it was like Isaac or someone. And then they went up to get something, and I like odds on someone to finish like Isaac's dessert before he came back or something. And then it then like reflected on me, and I then lost it. So I then had to eat it in one go. I think I had to like put it all in my mouth at once. I think it was Isaac. It was someone like Isaac who wouldn't have been best pleased to come back and see that their dessert had been eaten.
Aye. Yeah. Good times, good times. Lots of memories of Glasgow, good and bad.
Yeah, I mean, Strath, I ran into TG Robbo recently, and he said that he'd been playing with a couple of players that knew you.
Yeah, I think it's quite. the Scottish frisbee scene, I think, was quite tightly knit. So I remember like whenever we went to a nationals tournament that Strathclyde were at, or any of the many of the Scottish teams I would know, and people would a lot of the Scottish teams would have a couple of members that knew me from the couple of years I spent up there. But yeah, I think one of the clubs I recommended to him, like, so that was kind of not a really high intensity level, but had like a more less kind of serious vibe to them. I'm pretty sure a guy I was good mates with that is president or whatever of that club. So it wouldn't surprise me if he's bumped into him. But yeah, lots of friends up in Glasgow.
Yeah, TG Robert was telling me that he just played at like a beginners tournament because he still qualified as a beginner ridiculously, and he was just essentially absolutely dominating. Like, you guys remember when Britt played for the beginners team
Yeah,
and was
TG
just like
Roberts started playing
infinitely
at the
better.
same time as me.
Christ. Yeah, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
criminal.
Just absolutely dominating on pitch. But then he said that I think he like got them to the final, but then he had to like leave and miss the last game or something. So I think they got absolutely smashed after he went.
DJ Robert also struck me as someone who, similar to me, was not awfully fussed if he got an elbow to the face or he gave an elbow to the face kind of guy. I liked playing with TG Robbo. He was always very friendly, but would kind of be a physical presence, which is similar to me, minus the friendly side of stuff.
Have you been doing much frisbee, Stra?
No, in the slightest. I don't. It was difficult schedule because so a project I can talk about that I haven't signed an NDA for, which I've been on for about 6 months. I've been on one of the tunnels for HS2 under London. But you find with tunneling work, it's the shift patterns are weird. So I was doing 4 days on, 4 days off, and which is a smashing schedule. If you ever get off 4 days on, 4 days off, it's great. You get ridiculous amounts of days off and stuff. But it makes it very difficult to schedule anything because for 1 month you've got all your weekends, and then the next month your weekends are Monday to Thursday or kind of thing, and because it slowly kind of shunts
Yeah.
along. So unfortunately, it just so happened the project for us fell. Our involvement in it fell through summer, so I spent most of my summer inside a tunnel. Uh, which, yeah, it would have been great if it was winter because, as you can imagine, a tunnel never really changes. It's never that wet. It's never that cold, but it's also never that dry and never that warm either. But it did mean that frisbee took a massive backseat. I think I maybe attended like 3 random trainings and played one like average tournament, I think, throughout the summer. But yeah, I think is what it is.
Is that with the London team?
No, it was with Solent.
Oh, right, okay.
So I moved up to. So obviously, I graduated a year and a half ago, around when season 2 was being filmed, and stayed in Southampton till October because me and my partner had a tenancy to fill out. Then we moved up to her parents in Surrey for about 6 months while we figured out what we wanted to do next and just settled down with our jobs. And then we moved to Watford in May, and we've been there since. But I didn't think I'd have enough time to take frisbee seriously enough to bother trying to sort out arrangements with another team. So yeah.
So does that mean, Lenny, are you playing more frisbee than us two then?
No, I'm injured, so
Okay, so basically none of us are doing any frisbee.
yeah. Well,
No.
I played 2 weeks ago.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, you're playing more than us then, man.
And I got injured, and so
You always seem to be injured.
yeah, it's really fucking annoying actually. But we won the 916 bracket at Sicko, so
Yeah, that's what it's
with,
all
with
about.
me we had 5 players. I was injured, so I was just standing still, and most of the teams just honestly marked me and just took themselves out of the game. So it was great stuff.
Oh, speaking of potential 9-16 brackets, did you guys see how Skunks did at indoor regionals?
Oh,
No.
apparently they beat Bath outdoors today though.
Really?
Yeah, apparently.
Wow, damn.
I remember the first year I started or the first year we played frisbee at Southampton. Bath came to ours, and from what I understand, we should have been relegated the season before, but
Yeah.
because of COVID, they kind of scrapped it. And Bath turned up, half-assed it because they didn't realise that I just transferred. Not down to me though, but the main thing they didn't realise was we just picked up a Polish international player who was absolutely ridiculous. So then we ended up like beating them. I think it was just about 1 point, as we seemed to win most of our matches
Yeah,
that
it got
season.
very close at the end. I remember
Yeah,
that.
but I think
That
they
was
turned
the
up just expecting to batter us.
You went for your greatest attempt that game, from what I recall.
Yeah, I don't know what you're on about.
just fully in the pitch.
Yeah, yeah,
I think it was a classic Skunks game actually. I think we went up quite quickly by quite a lot, and then we
yeah.
then absolutely choked it. And then I think yeah, they were 1 point away from us when one of them very kindly assisted me for the win. So yeah, I remember that
Yeah.
beautiful moment. Very tall guy going up for the disc. I was just like, well, I'm just going to wait here and hope that he misses it, and he just kind of tapped it, and I yeah just stood there and caught it. But yeah, at that point we got like all of our good players still. We'd picked up you and Andy, and
We had Leo as well coaching that game.
mm,
Yeah.
who
They
was
didn't
our
know what
captain
hit
that
them,
season?
lads. They didn't know what hit them. And then we went to Swansea away and lost.
But then we beat Exeter on like a massive comeback and
Like,
then won the league.
yeah, we were. I think we beat Bristol, Bath, and Exeter in that season, and all three of them we went 3 points down or 2 points down to then bring it back to win on the last point, kind of thing. From what I remember, I know Exeter and Bristol, we definitely were like 11-8 down in both their matches and ended
Yeah.
up winning 12-11. It was just mad.
I remember at the end of
What
the
a
season
team.
when we just had Swansea and Exeter left, and then Noel, who was the captain, he put a poll in the group just like, oh, okay, well, who can make each game? Because I think Exeter was away, and no,
They were both
yeah,
away.
yeah, they're both
Yeah.
away. So Noel was just like, let's just get like all of our good players to one of the games. We'll smash that team, and then it doesn't matter if we lose to the other because we'll still win the league. So all of the good players signed up for the Swansea game. We all go down to Swansea and get absolutely battered.
I think to sum up Skunks that season, it was like everyone except Andy signed up that game. We went there, we got battered, like competently lost, and then we had barely anyone for the Exeter game, but Andy was there. Noel signed up Will Jeffrey for that game.
Yes.
No one had ever heard of him at all. Me and Andy were ranting about him the whole way down. He wasn't in our car. We were ranting about him the whole way down. The boy turns up, does an absolute job on them. Just someone with basically zero experience. Uh,
I think what wasn't Lachlan at that game as well?
yeah, Lachlan was there. Josh Stevens was there. There's a few other random names from what I remember. Was Spencer
Basically,
there?
basically it was
Spencer,
you,
I think,
me,
was there.
Andy, and Farhan, and then a load of like
Yeah,
people
yeah.
that have
Oh,
played that one
Farhan.
game.
That boy was a gem. We didn't deserve Farhan. He was too good for Southampton.
Did we have was Aaron White there? Another Skunks classic.
One of the gingers, one of the five gingers of whom four were ginger. A good season. I enjoyed that season.
The only time we've ever won the league.
And we did all right at indoors as well, from what I remember. I think we finished 4 at indoors that
Yeah.
season. And mixed, yeah, we got shafted by bullshit schedule on the regionals, didn't we?
Losing to Bristol after beating them twice already that weekend.
We've beaten them
a real
twice in
highlight
one
of the year.
weekend and then lost to them in the game to go after we'd lost half of our team to injury.
Yeah, we lost because I had to come onto the pitch because you got injured. I couldn't just stand on the sideline in the important game. It was a dire state. I think just a lot of people weren't available, so Noel put me up to the first team.
It was annoying, was that? But it's what it is.
Maybe you shouldn't have got injured then. Really.
Yeah, exactly.
Blame's
I
on
take-
you,
I
not
take
on me.
responsibility. As I think I will be during many points in this podcast, I will be taking responsibility for poorly thought out occasions.
Well, I think that's a wonderful segue to start getting into. Strath, first of all, just this might be hopefully an easy one. This is a lot of the fans who are wondering. Could you give us a bit of background to why we call you Strath?
I don't really know. No, no, I'm kidding. Yeah, it's quite obvious. I started my bachelor's at the University of Strathclyde, hence Strath. It wasn't my decision. I'm honestly quite surprised it stuck.
Weren't
I
you
think,
Clyde for quite a while?
yeah, I
When
think
did that change?
Thomas Jeffers, I think, started calling me Clyde. Oh no, was it you, Mike, that started calling me Clyde?
I I was always keener on Strath than
Yeah,
Clyde,
no, I
but
thought so.
I think
Thomas,
at one point I asked you which one you preferred, and I think you said Clyde. So I think Andy called you that for a while.
yeah, I think Thomas Jeffers started one of them. Then he caught on and he just left. He just disappeared and left me with that. And then yeah, Strath stuck, which I've since spoken to a few people from Strathclyde after we played them in various tournaments, and they have been incredibly confused when people on the pitch have been yelling Strath, and obviously every one of them plays for the team I'm named after. But yeah, that's yeah, like I said, fairly simple.
First of all, I'll ask you the obligatory question at this point. Did you have once you find out that you're going to play Survivor Southampton, did you have any expectations or plans coming into the game? Anyone you thought might be in there? Did you have any experience with Survivor? Any plans at all?
No, literally nothing at all. I don't think I'd ever really heard of it apart from people mentioning season one. I'm pretty sure I didn't watch much of season one. I've seen the odd episode, um, and I think they were episodes that had potentially been aired as a social kind of thing while we'd been at yours or what have you. I knew Beth. Spoilers if anyone's that far behind. I knew Beth won season one, but apart from people telling me, "Oh, Noel's a snake, Lenny's a snake, Beth's a strong player," I didn't literally didn't know much about it at all. I also knew everyone hated Sorensen. Uh, I think that had come up, but yeah, I didn't know who to expect in it. I didn't know if it was going to be all brand new players. I didn't really talk to anyone about it. I just came in with. Uh, in my opinion, deservedly cocky attitude. um, I think people would have a different opinion to that, but I didn't know much about the game. I didn't know much about your version of the game. I didn't know much about any of it, really.
Do you have any memories of your experiences on the Merrick tribe in your fairly short-lived tenure?
Trying to think. I didn't really have targets. Like I said, I didn't know who to expect to be there. And even when I was there, I didn't know too much in terms of previous Southampton Survivor, how people were. So I didn't go in with targets. I just went in. I think me and Max hit it off quite well, but I think that was probably just me and Max were already fairly solid before the game. But saying that, I was fairly solid with Noel before the game, Stock before the game, Oscar to a certain extent, but I think me and Max just had a similar attitude to it all.
So you go in, yeah, Strath. So obviously, first challenge, you're made as the leader of your team. You're the caller for that, and you do end up winning, arguably because Will Jeffrey absolutely chokes it. But do you think that impacted your game in any way? Like, do you think your tribe saw you as a leader because you obviously did have that dominant role in a lot of the challenges? Do you think that might have been a reason why they voted you out?
With regards to them seeing me as a leader, I think that part of it was that first challenge, and half of it is I think I'm just people know me before. They know I'm loud. They know I'm opinionated. They know I'm a sore loser, but a great winner. uh, yeah, I don't know if that's. I think the main reason I got voted out was someone had to go, kind of thing. I don't think it was people planning too far ahead. I don't think it was too many alliances. I think it was just we'd at that point had several rounds that we'd won and only one that we'd lost. The one we'd lost, everyone had unfortunately just kind of jumped on Zhao. And from there, I think it was a similar kind of vote. People didn't really know where to go. And my name just, it did blindside me a bit from what I remember. But I don't think it was tactical to a certain extent. I think people just needed to jump on a. I don't know if anyone else saw it differently, but I don't think it was early game kind of planning as such. I think it was just people didn't want to be voted out themselves, and
Yeah.
I was a big name. So if someone's trying to make a move, let's jump on that. I think.
Yeah,
No,
I
I
mean,
think
obviously,
yeah.
yeah, go ahead, Lenny.
No, you can go, Mike.
Oh,
That's fine.
oh, all right.
Great.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you want to
No,
say something,
no,
then
no.
yeah, that's what I thought. You got fucking nothing to say, mate. Um, yeah, I mean, obviously, like you were voted out like right sort of as they were getting closer to the merge, so that might have been more of an issue with people just wanting to take out a big threat just before the merge. I think maybe you sort of had that status as a big threat, so that might have been why they were looking at you rather than like someone physically weaker that had you been going to the second tribal council, maybe they would have voted them off instead.
From my point of view, like it's hard to see because obviously you just kind of take the information you see and what have you. And especially when you're watching it back, it's weird getting to see all the perspectives and realizing how obvious one vote was, how obvious one alliance was, but you kind of didn't notice it in the game. Especially looking back on the way it ended for a lot of the people who voted me out or the people who have been. It would surprise me they voted me out when there was still an opportunity for me to come back in. From my point of view, it's like if you vote out a strong player, you're giving them a chance to come back and get you back for it, which is what happened for a lot of the players.
Definitely backfired on them. Yeah, quite dramatically, really.
Yeah.
You really came to. You did achieve the just taking the names you wanted to take. So
Yeah, Strath, can you talk about how it felt to be voted out then? Because obviously you come back with a big vendetta against all of these players that did take you out. So how did it feel in the moment? Obviously, you said just said you're a bad loser, but now you're back in the game.
Yeah, I think it was quite obvious how it felt. I held a grudge, and I think like I said, it did blindside me. I think it was I was one of the stronger players in our team, and I think I did contribute. I don't think I was the strongest player in our team, but in terms of general leadership and everything combined, I think I was definitely up there with top three. And so I was surprised that we hadn't stuck together and kind of jumped on a potentially getting a weaker player or who we saw as a weaker player out. So I think it caught me off guard. And then from that, it was quite obviously just loose cannon. As soon as I got back in, I had my list of names and I was gonna whittle it down as much as I could. And I think with regards to that, if you don't look at the game as a whole, I think I did an excellent job. I think,
a
yeah,
successful mission.
yeah,
Strath, were you not voted out by that tribe? Would you have been wanting to work with most of those players at the merge?
definitely, yeah. I think if I hadn't been voted out with them, I think this is what shocked me. We had a very, I know you lose a challenge, you have to vote someone out, someone has to go. But I thought we had a really tight knit. We were already, when I went out, we were what? They'd had 4 players voted out, no, 5 players voted out.
Yeah, they
And
were
we
down
had,
to they were
when I
down
went
to
out,
just 4 players left at
yeah.
that
So
point.
we still had a strong advantage. We could have still had 3 players going into that final team challenge, tribe challenge, and we could have just pulled the game from under them quite easily, I think. And I think I think it was a mistake. Obviously, I think it was a mistake, but I think it was a mistake for them to vote me out. Even looking back on it, I think arguably if they'd have kept me in, I think there would have been a lot more blues still in the game than there are now. Whereas me going out, they just made an enemy out of a strong player. But saying that, maybe I shouldn't have been so stubborn and so vengeful and just got over myself. You could argue that. I mean, we've all gone out apart from Sock.
And
So
Holly, I guess.
yeah. I don't include Holly in that because I don't. She was quite loyal to me. I think in the tribe. Oh, definitely watching it back. I feel she was always not like
She was trying to
Noel.
get Noel.
Yeah, not like Oscar with Noel kind of loyalty, but every time from what I saw, it was very rare she was like, yeah, no, let's jump on the Strath kind of thing in any of the votes. Up until like the most recent episode. I don't include her in that group of people who I think lost from voting me out.
Yeah, just talk to us a bit about your relationship with Holly then, because this was something that I was going to bring up. It did seem like she was trying to keep you in the game at least from the pre-merge side of things. Did you feel like you had any kind of strategic relationship going forward, or was it more just like she felt like it was smarter to keep you in the game? You had similar people you should have been going after. Was that what it was more like?
From what I remember, we didn't really have a relationship coming into the game. We knew each other through the club and stuff, and we talked and we played frisbee together and stuff. But it wasn't like we were messaging each other nightly talking about Bridgerton or whatever. I don't know.
That's
Like,
that's not. I wasn't going
but
going for that.
no. But I mean, we weren't awfully social outside the game. Coming into the game, I don't think we were awfully social in the game either.
Okay.
I think it was just for whatever reason, maybe she saw me as a useful team member, and maybe she saw it more the way I saw it. There's no point voting out a stronger player who's got a higher chance of coming back and trying to get me back for it. So maybe that's how she saw it.
You absolutely dominate the redemption challenge with apparently no prior experience in slide puzzles either.
I mean, I know of them, but
Okay, all right.
no.
So
I say that. I guess. Do you remember that 2048 game?
Oh yeah.
oh yeah.
Yeah, the little
cool,
where you had
yeah.
to try. I played that before, and I'd got really high numbers on that. I guess it's kind of similar, but that's about it.
Yeah, you slide stuff about a box.
Yeah. In a
No,
4x4 grid, I think.
that's about where the similarities end. Yeah.
There's a very small amount of transferable skills from that, I think, into slide puzzles. So you're re-entering the game with Will and Lucy. What did you think of Will and Lucy getting voted out pre-merge? Did you feel like you had some kind of connection going into the post-merge? You verbalized it once or twice, but it was hard to know if there was anything solid there.
Definitely with Will. I was surprised when watching the episode a few weeks ago that he voted for me with Noel. Even looking back on it, I don't think it's something we'd ever discussed, but I didn't realize until I watched that episode that he was one of the other votes for me. I thought, even from the very first challenge, me and Will were the two leaders in that very first tribe challenge. I thought we had quite a strong connection, even from the very start of the game, bar that kind of, the challenge we did in pairs.
Hmm.
We talked, we discussed things, we'd come back in together. And so I was surprised that he was the other person that voted for me. With what was it, Nolan Sock and Noel had a steel vote or something. But yeah, Lucy not so much, I don't think. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I was just focusing too much on Will. Can you blame me?
It's been known.
Yeah.
So Lucy was someone though that like if people had brought up her name, maybe you would have been like, let's go for someone else instead. Did you feel that kind of loyalty at all?
Not really. I think if Lucy's in the most recent episode, I think if Lucy's name I think I would have happily just jumped on saving my own skin if she'd have gone instead.
Right. So we're at the merge. Strath, obviously you have your targets. Is that just you were very keen on eliminating all of those players immediately? What you got? Billy, Noel, Oscar, and Sock. Those are the four. You just want all of them gone.
I don't. Yes. No, I didn't want them gone. I wanted to redistribute the votes they'd put on me. I was just like, what else have I got to lose? I'm in a very weak position now because I've come back in. Evidently, the Blues didn't want me in the game. The Reds are the Reds. I think they may have taken me on as an ally, knowing how much I had a vendetta, but I don't think it would have ended too well for me anyway. So I was just like, I'm just going to redistribute the votes I've been given. I think, weirdly, from what I remember, I don't think I knew Billy voted for me until he told me. I think I thought that not Sock, Ben had been the other person who voted for me. I don't know why, and that Billy and Holly had stuck together and voted for Ben, I think. No, voted for Noel, and me and Max had voted for Ben.
Oh, of course, for the Max vote. Were you devastated to see that Max was the other player following you out of the game?
Not in the slightest. I thought, I think not because of any other reason than I was like, I thought me and the Max were quite tight knit. We weren't really allied. We just kind of were out of all the players I was closest to, it was him. I don't think I had any alliances really, which probably cost me. But I think it was Strath's gone. Max looks like he was allied with Strath. Next time they lose, surely everyone's just going to jump on that Max kind of thing because he's not going to have anyone to remotely defend him. It just, yeah, Solidified one of the very few friendships I made in that game. Weirdly, I don't know if I should say this. When we did the redemption challenge and Max gave up, I wasn't surprised he gave up. Max always kind of like struck me as someone who just never takes anything awfully seriously.
Yeah,
So, but
yeah.
I remember going over to him and giving him one of the answers to something. And because one, I really wanted him to come back in with me because if he'd have come back in, it would straight away have been right. We have a strong alliance here. Let's just crack on. But the other half, it was like you said, it's always a bit miserable to watch someone just give up because they're stuck on something. But saying that, I didn't help Will in the slightest, did I? And he was really struggling on that redemption challenge. I didn't realize until watching back that episode how much he struggled with that. Like,
It was
I think he
almost
spent,
just insane how long it took.
yeah. But
Because
I'm pretty sure I finished the whole thing, and he was still on that first task, wasn't it?
yeah,
But he made a right bloody comeback, though, didn't he?
Even like Archie had told him one of the pairs that he was looking for as well. So he was just standing there looking for like two of the same name for like however long it took you to finish the whole thing. So Billy leaves straight away. So as far as you're concerned, that's fine. You probably would have voted for him anyway.
Yeah, I would have voted for Villa. Everyone was like, no, let's vote someone else out. And I was like, I don't care if the Villa's going or not. This is my only chance to get him back for voting for me. Then I'm gonna vote for him. So I was stood on that standpoint.
Were you just kind of so blinded by this revenge plan that maybe at the time, during this time, you should have been forming some alliances, but you were so keen, just like, here are my targets. These are three people I'm going to vote for, regardless of whether they're actually voted out or not. So you were so busy doing that, you just weren't really thinking about joining up with any
Yeah,
of the Reds.
I was just like a bull in a china shop. I was like, I've come back with one goal, and that is to try and get a vote onto everyone who voted for me before I get voted out. And that was all I was going for. As you can probably tell by my vote for Sock when he was immune. I don't know if you're going to jump on this, but I was watching the episodes back. I was really annoyed that you didn't read Sock's second vote in that tribal, even though he was immune, because I really thought I didn't know that he'd been voted for twice. I thought I was the only stupid enough person to vote for someone who's immune. But if Sock could have got two votes whilst being immune, that boy would have been bricking it. I promise you. Getting two votes when you are obviously immune is not just someone making an accident. It's two people trying to get in your head. And I was like, if we'd have found that out, Sock would have been thinking, there's people voting for it anyway. There is someone just desperate on. So I was a bit annoyed he didn't get his second vote revealed in the day. I don't think he did.
Well, no, the only reason why I didn't was because like you're not allowed to vote for someone with immunity. So what I would like when I was counting the votes, it was in my head because like 5 or 6 people had immunity that round, so I just kind of left it in. Had I known, I would have been like, okay, I would have made it clear all the players that were immune, and then I would have said, so some people might need to re-vote. So I would have made you and Ben re-vote. So it wasn't until I read the first vote for Sock and he was just like, I've got immunity. So I was just like, oh, okay, well this is bad on me. So I took the other vote for Sock out of there.
I think you should have made an exception just for Sock.
Yeah.
I think if that boy had known two people were breaking the complete rules of the game and the good nature of the game just to try and get random votes onto him, I think he might have cried, I think he might have been in tears.
That would be interesting for like
freak him
future
out.
seasons if like you are allowed to vote for people that are immune, but the votes don't count. You can just
Just
put a
to
vote
get in
on
their
them.
heads. Yeah.
It's all fun and games till not a single non-immune player gets a vote.
Yeah, okay, right. I think
freak each other out.
I think we've just broken the format. So okay, if we do it again, you definitely can't vote for any immune players. Like season 1, Sorensen would have had about 6 votes on him each council. I can imagine Carolina voting Sorensen every time until he's actually eligible.
That first round would have been brutal for him. I think he would have picked up like 8 or 9 votes.
Yeah, Noel's trying to save himself by convincing everyone to vote for Sorensen in round 1. So we get to the next round where you pitch a deal to Oscar. Okay, the last name on your list that you haven't written down. So you pitch him essentially that if like you'll call it quits if he just like votes for Will on this vote. As it turns out, neither of you would vote at that tribal council anyway. But had he shaken your hand, and then obviously you both leave, so he wouldn't have been able to go through with it. But would you have been like, okay, we're fine, we're allies again after that? had he shaken your hand?
Without that, I think up until kind of last two episodes, I was very hell bent on just being honest. I think in the Zhao vote, I didn't really attempt to lie to anyone. I think obviously in my vote, when I got voted out, I didn't. And I think even through, I came in and I was like, I'm going to be honest. I'd tell people I'm voting for them. I know what I'm doing. That's my plan, regardless of how it's going to end. And I think I would have. I think I would have been like, yeah, even if the votes hadn't been cast, because I think Oscar's quite an honest man as well. So I think if he'd have shaken my hand, in my mind, the deal would have ended there, irregardless if we had have voted and what have you. Like, I think the deal would have been like, I trust Oscar, not but because he's not got Noel to be kind of not stringing him along, but to be following blindly anymore. So, and I think it would have benefited me. I think the same thing. Looking back on it with Sock, I think because I voted for Sock and I'd got that kind of out of my system, I didn't realize how much he was going for me. I think I really thought that me and him were good and that we were not best pals, but we put it behind us and we could move past that and potentially focus on something else. I don't think I realized until watching back how much Sock still just wanted me gone.
He was scared of you. He was really scared.
I didn't care. After I'd done that immune vote, I didn't care. I was Sock was Sock. He's just another player that I would have to try and overcome at some point.
Did you ever think about just telling him that though?
I think I did. I think I said to him, I'm pretty sure I'd be surprised if it's not on record somewhere, me saying to him, I voted for you, we're even now. Like, from my point of view, I would be surprised if that's not somewhere in and amongst the clips that me saying to someone or to him, if I didn't say it directly to him, but I think I did say to him, we're even now. Like, that's it for me. The game is afresh, but maybe I should have made it more explicit. I don't think it would have helped. I think Sock wanted me gone. I think he wanted me gone from when he first voted me off.
Had you and Oscar gone through with that deal, does Sock leave at the tribal that Oscar ends up going? Big Dog is hard trying to protect Sock and push out either you or Oscar at that vote. Lenny's obviously trying to keep you in the game. But do you think if you and Oscar are able to team up, you're able to swing the rest of the Reds to get rid of Sock in that one?
No. I think me and Oscar would have been quite tight. Until seeing stuff, I didn't realise how. I think even from my confessional, the most recent confessional, I still didn't trust Lenny. Can you blame me? I did not trust Lenny pretty much throughout that whole game. Even when he was like the last person that was helping me, I still didn't realise that he was the only ally, if you want to call it that I had remotely.
Does that go back at all to the Noel vote where you thought that he voted for you? Even though
I think the whole time, I think I was. Don't know why, but maybe it was everyone else saying Lenny's a snake. It just blinded me, and I the whole game just thought Lenny. Like he said, when you get these tags, even for someone who didn't really watch season one and didn't know the reasoning, it was still there with me. I was still thinking everyone's saying he's a snake, so surely he is, kind of thing. Even though he was genuinely trying to help, but I think even without that, and if it had been me, him, and Oscar, I think that red trio was incredibly strong. Watching stuff back,
yeah, they were very hard to deal with.
Yeah,
to the point where they've not been dealt with, and you're now out, and my head's on the chopping block. So
still not dealt with.
I think at the point, I definitely thought that was a red quad, and I thought Lenny was still in their fold. I was sure of it.
No, I was long gone. Made myself quite an enemy of those three.
Strath, one thing that I had written down in the previous episode, we see. So this is you, Lenny and Will. You've got a plan together to pretend that it's going to be Big Dog, so he plays his idol, but it's actually going to be Isaac. So he was just like, okay, well, we'll get Lucy and Holly on board. I think that was the plan. So we then see a chat between you and Divya. You then tell Divya the whole plan. Then Isaac shows up. You tell him the fake plan, and then Big Dog shows up, and you're like, okay, I'm leaving. What was going through your mind during those exchanges?
Yeah, I think it was quite obvious. I trusted Divya, I think, in that game. Not a lot, but I think I trusted him more than most people. Like, the people I should have trusted, Lenny, maybe Oscar to a certain extent, I didn't trust. And then the people maybe I didn't realise were so tightly knit, I some reason had a bit of trust in them, Will and Divya and people like that. And And then I didn't trust Isaac. I knew he was a strong competitor. I think it's quite obvious that I wasn't too in the know strategy-wise. I think if you had to rank people with two kind of scales, I think there's challengers and what have you, and then there's strategy. And I think I would rank highly on challengers, and then probably one of the lowest in terms of social realization. And
there's definitely lower. There's definitely lower.
yeah, Isaac came over and I was like, well, I need to change it quickly. And then Chris came over, I was like, right, I'm not getting out of this one. Just kind of dip out, lads.
In terms of your idol clue, can you just talk to us a little bit about that? So obviously you hold it for a few rounds, you sort of use it to try and, bargaining power to try and keep yourself in. It does arguably work during the Oscar vote. I think the other round you were immune anyway. So why choose that round in particular to show everyone the idol clue? And why not go look for it yourself?
I didn't go and look for it myself because at that point I was still this kind of, I had this attitude of I've been honest. I'm not going to lie to people. I'm going to be an honest player. Similar to, I think, what Oscar kind of hinted at. Like, although there's a game going on, there's a level of character kind of. Lenny probably doesn't realise this, but you've got to be honest to yourself as well, I think. And I was trying to be. I will go out with this round, and I think it's obvious in my confessional. I got happy. I got my head held high. I think I did the best I could, and I think I was honest throughout. When Lenny does go, and I promise you it's coming soon, I think he needs to look inwards as to what kind of man he is.
No, what's happening in the game is the exact man I am. That's me. That's who I want to be. That's who I am. Wouldn't change a thing.
So I think I was trying to be honest. I was still in that kind of, I don't feel that much in danger, although I was. And I'm just going to be honest. I told people but at the same time, I was trying to stretch the truth. I told people I would show them the clue, and I was going to do that before I showed them myself. I didn't say when I would show them the clue. So I was trying to use it as bargaining power and get more out of it than potentially people thought I might have been able to get out of it. People will have been like, oh, he's going to use this to save himself for one round kind of thing. We'll just get him out next round. But then I don't reveal the clue next round kind of thing. So I could use it again and again, that kind of white lie. Oh, technically, I'm not lying. I haven't lied to anyone, but I'm really stretching the truth. I think it worked. I think, like you said, I wasn't
point,
one of them. But
why not just lie, though? Why not just go all out?
Man of honor, kind of.
To be fair, I think you definitely raise a good point in terms of being honest, but I think the advantage of being honest in a game like Survivor is that you're being honest early on for the occasions where you're then trying to lie and backstab people so that they'll believe you when they tell you stuff. I think you did this well in this particular episode when you were thinking about having the idol, etc. But I think if you're being honest only to be like, well, when I go out, I'll feel honourable about it, then you're not playing the game right. And it's boring to watch, and it's boring to edit.
I think it is obvious, like, it was either this episode or the one before, I did flip. I realised I need to do something. I'm in danger. And I think it weirdly did work. I think a lot of people, bar Chris, who, that man has balls of steel to be the only person to call me out on that idol. When he called, so I remember watching the episode, and when he said, someone comes up, I think Isaac and Divya come up and like, Strath's got an idol. And he's like, no, he hasn't. And they're like, no, but if he has, you're going to get voted out. He's like, fine. He hasn't got an idol. I watched that and I thought, respect. Like, that man has just called my bluff. The only person I think out of the 7 or 8 that were left that really did just say he's lying. Apart from him, it worked quite well. I think a lot of people thought I did have an idol, Lenny included. And although I didn't know it, he saw that as, he came up to me and said, can you use your idol on me? I knew full well when he said that. In my head, I'm going, I don't have an idol.
From my perspective, I was just like, why would he lie to me?
Yeah. But then my perspective was, Lenny's come over and asked me to use his idol. He's trying to do that. I think at the time, I thought Lenny had come over and said, use your idol on me. And I was thinking, no, he's obviously trying to trick me so that they'll just vote me out. Because I still thought he's part of that thought. Does that make sense?
My thought was, if you had an idol and they all knew it, then they vote for me.
Yeah. I can see, yeah. But I thought you were still with them, so I thought you thought I had an idol, and you're like, maybe he'll use it on me, and then I can just vote for him and get him out anyway, kind of thing. But I didn't have an idol, so it don't make it matter.
Yeah,
I think I convinced myself a little bit I had an idol then, but unfortunately I didn't.
I mean, to be fair to you, Strath, it was something that was that I was just like, oh, what a terrible move. But then when when reviewing the episode and watching all the edits, like the second that you told Sock what you had, like you told Sock and Lenny, I've got an idol. Oh no, wait, it's a stealer vote. Unfortunately, because Sock didn't take anyone with him to film it, but like essentially the second after you told him and Lenny that, he runs straight to Big
Yeah.
Dog, Isaac, and Divya and tells them all that you've got a stealer
Which
vote.
I thought it was Lenny that was doing the running to them. I thought it was Lenny that was relaying this idol and stealer vote information to them. And so it just stirred stuff up in my head as well. But I think also, arguably, going back to the sharing the clue and stuff, I know I didn't know this was going to happen at the time, but I shared that clue. Eventually, Chris got the idol, and I just burnt it out of him anyway. I, to a certain extent, tricked him into using it. That clue got me as far as the idol got Chris. It saved me for a round, which admittedly the idol didn't save Chris, but he used it thinking it was just going to save him for a round. I think the clue did the exact same for me. Yeah, maybe I could have also used the clue as the bargain and then gone out and got the idol. Maybe I should have, but hindsight and all that, innit?
Yeah, I mean, you had no guarantee you'd win immunity that round either, so like at the time when you showed people the clue, I think that was fine. We jumped into the start of episode 15 now. I've got some stuff about the Lucy Will drama. Oh yeah, we see a confessional from Lucy, just the reasons why she was finally taking out Will. What do both of you think is the end to this story? It seems like they were always kind of like wanting to be allies, but never really. It seems like it would have benefited both of you had they actually been allies. But whenever one of them thought they were allies, the other one was going for them.
They just couldn't. They couldn't actually do it. They just Will for some reason just couldn't let the past go behind him. Neither could Lucy.
Maybe we'd live in a different world right now if them two had made up. Maybe we'd
Yeah,
live in a better world.
the final two win
Yeah.
the game together.
Yeah.
Go all Hunger Games on mic in the final and say they both want £50.
No, I think there was an odd number jury that would have. I wouldn't have let that happen. So yeah, we see Strath that you vote Big Dog in the last round. I think we've sort of covered that one essentially.
Yeah, that was foolish. I'd like to say I think what my plan worked to get Big Dog to use his idol. Why I voted for him, I'm not really sure. I think I thought more people might switch. It didn't make a difference in the end. It was 5 to 2 to 1, if I'm right. But
Yeah.
I think I should have voted for Isaac. I think because my plan was to get Chris to use his idol. I think. So what I thought I was doing with my vote, I don't really know.
I think you just weren't aware at all how close the Reds were. You thought that you'd heard the Isaac name enough that you thought pretty much everyone was going for it. So you thought, why don't I throw a vote in for Big Dog in case like something weird happens?
Yeah, I know. I remember going back a bit to the Noel vote, or the vote I got voted out in the tribe stuff. People were questioning why I'd voted for Ben instead of Noel. And I remember at the time thinking, well, if Noel has got an idol, which I think the rumours were spreading, he's going to use that. And if I vote for Noel, it's just a completely wasted vote. Whereas, admittedly, it ended up with 4 votes on me. But if one other person had voted Ben, it would have been 3 on me, 3 on Ben, and 2 on Noel. And Noel would have used his idol, and then votes would have. So I remember why I voted Ben instead of Noel in that first kind of matchup between me and Noel. But that one with Chris, I think that was just a bit naive.
Obviously, Strath at this point, well, with the exception of Will, but you're the only person that has now been voted out twice. Were there any like similarities in this round that you noticed? Like, were you like more paranoid or anything? Like, could you like sense that you might be being about to be voted off again just because you'd already had that experience once?
I think from what I can remember, I felt completely opposite in both times. The first time I got voted out, I wasn't paranoid at all. I don't think. I think I'd heard my name and stuff, but I don't think I'd taken it seriously, and it really did blindside me. This time, I wasn't blindsided as much. I didn't see it coming. This time, I was a lot less surprised about getting voted out than the first time. The first time really, I think, from what I remember, did catch me off guard.
So back into the episode now, we see the two of you actually having a chat. You make the plan, pick up allies, find an idol. Easy. It looks like after a quick chat with Sock, it looks like you've already picked up one ally. So then you just need Lucy after that, right? Was that the game plan? Sock and Lucy were the targets here.
Yeah, I think that's the only real two that would have considered it, really. The other 4 were going out for the kill on us, so it sort of had to be Lucy and Sock if it was going to be anyone. And what a great montage of looking for the idol, where you can just see it in that branch in like
I
most of
was
the shots. It's
I was
fantastic camera work.
fuming. I think when I find it, I'm looking and I see it obviously in front of me. I'm like, oh, there it is. And then I think Mike like said something like, "That's been there all day." I was like, "Fuck you, Mike," or something like that. I remember thinking like, I'm such a moron for not seeing that right in front of me. Like you said, I did a confessional right next to the bloody thing.
But no, that was where you would go for all of your confessionals.
The thing is, like, yeah, and Lenny spends arguably half of his confessionals whining about you and the game in general and stuff like that. I'm only now seeing how much he was on the right path.
What do you think? I was doing everything I could to help you guys by putting loads of fun stuff out there.
Yeah.
The amount of like extra clues I had to throw into the game because people just weren't finding stuff. That was yeah, like this the idol that Lucy finds has been there since the start, the one on this under the stair necessities, and then the same for the Holly one in the balloon. Although admittedly those were probably like those wouldn't be the first places you look just randomly. So you find the Steel of Oak Strath. Is that what you were hoping for? Were you like, it's not quite an idol, but like maybe it can help?
I mean, obviously, I was happy because any help would have helped. Obviously, like I was in a bit of a sticky situation. I think it's quite obvious I was in a sticky situation. I think maybe like I said, if I'd have tricked everyone and got the idol Chris got, this game would have ended a hell of a lot differently. Like we could have very easily got Chris out. Chris would have gone. If I'd have had an idol, Chris would have gone. Simple as. Like they would have wasted what 6 votes, and me and Lenny would have been the only ones voting Chris. But I've only really got, like you said, myself to blame. I should have followed up on that clue. And I think at that point, I was just glad of any sort of help. I think it wasn't until the end of the round I realised how futile anything but a pure idol would have been. Because even if it had been a kind of, oh, I can get out of this, they would, like they said, they would have taken Lenny out and I would have been next. The only way I think long term things would have worked out for me and Lenny is if that had have been an idol or I had have had an idol.
I'm not too sure that I think a Steeler vote was exactly what you needed this round to
We,
win it,
we could have
assuming
got
you have
if it,
Sock on your side, which is
Yeah,
what it seemed like
yeah,
at the
it
time.
definitely. If Sock and Lucy had been more bold, like Lenny has been saying for the last 3 episodes, not just Sock and Lucy, but if someone had been more bold, it would have made the game, I'm going to say, very interesting. Obviously, the game still is interesting, but for me, I still would have been in it, so it would have been more interesting for me. But I definitely think, yeah, it does feel like the game is panning in a very specific direction now.
I'm keen to know, especially now I've got you both here. So I think a lot of the fear for these players as to why they didn't flip, and we can get into individual reasons later on and say who it was smart for and who it wasn't. But the fear is that, and I mean, with Will in the game, it was worse. They were just like these three strong challenge players and players that are quite forward strategically in terms of putting ideas into other people's heads. These guys are all now together, and the risk is we vote with them and then they stay together and vote us out. From my perspective, I didn't feel like the two of you would have like stuck together till the end. Well, how is it from both of your perspectives? Were you just like, well, we need each other now, but there's no way I'm taking him to the end?
Oh yeah, I would have taken great joy if it had worked and we'd become another top alliance. I would have taken great joy and then switching to the bottom again and trying to take Strath out. I think that would have been great fun. I just love it. I can't help myself.
I'm telling you, it really reveals a man's soul. It really.
What Strath, are you saying that you would have taken Lenny to the end?
Yeah, I think I would have. I think
Wow.
no. Well, it's quite obvious. It's still obvious to me. Obviously, looking back, it was foolish, but it's still obvious to me I didn't trust Lenny, even though he was the only person I really had backing me. If you want to say that, I didn't trust him. Whether it potentially in the long run just saved me heartache further on down the line is another thing. I think
But
if I'd have come out of that game knowing, so I came out of that game thinking Lenny has it, or watching back, I came out, I can say, oh, Lenny didn't betray me. If I'd have stayed in the game for the rest of my life, I would just know Lenny's betrayed me, and I would never, never have a spot in my heart for him ever again. So I think I'm the real winner here. I think the Reds all lose because Lenny's betrayed them all. I think Noel loses, Lenny's betrayed him. I'm the real winner. I'm the only person Lenny's not truly betrayed now. So
yeah, you went out as my ally, and
yes, must be the only person. I didn't know it, but must be the only person to ever go out as an ally to Lenny.
Yeah, do you know what? I think you're right. I think yeah, with oh, with the only exceptions of Zhao and Max, who didn't meet you in the game, Lenny. I think yeah, I think that's right, right?
So
Yeah.
who ask yourselves who's the real winner? I mean, it could still happen. Maybe Lenny somehow rekindles with Chris and they both go all the way to the end and he doesn't end up backstabbing
But,
another person that
Yeah,
should.
but he's technically already betrayed him, so at this point,
but
so it doesn't
we
matter.
could get back together. I mean, he fought pretty hard to keep me in, so maybe that's what he's thinking next round.
Yeah, he was getting rid of the
But,
more dangerous competitor. Let's be serious.
Yeah, I think that's what's happening, Lenny. He's eyeing you up as a potential ally for the next 3 or 4 rounds.
you can honestly feel a bit insulted watching it back when someone's like, "No, no, we'll keep him in. We'll get the other guy out. Much more dangerous."
I think in regards to like it all in general, I think the first time I got voted out really like I didn't make it obvious, but watching it back, like I was as soon as I came back in, I was just constantly kind of on edge unless I was immune. And I think if I hadn't have been voted out in the tribes, I don't think I would have been on edge. I think I would have been a lot more no one's going to vote me out. But now I knew anyone was vulnerable, regardless of how I saw myself in the challenges. I knew anyone could go. And I think that's one of the reasons I didn't trust Lenny. I think it's one of the reasons I didn't really kind of trust Isaac. But it had thrown me a bit that literally anyone can be scheming anywhere.
So we see that Lucy now has an idol. Very exciting. She actually found it, I think, in the last episode, but just because so many idols were found in that episode, I thought let me put it in this one instead. What do we think of Lucy's gameplay at this point? Because like I know you guys wanted her to work with you and she didn't, but do you think maybe like she's got an idol? Is there a plan there? Like, does she need you for her game?
Maybe not, but surely it's better to have us. Like,
I no, I don't agree. I think she's done done great. Like she's seen that I'm going. She knows that if you look at it from the outside, Lenny's going to go next. Obviously I didn't see that, but I think she's caught onto the fact that she's not going to be next, and she's potentially going to have an idol going into a very late stage. When do the idols stop being used? Is it when
Final
there's
five.
5 people? Yeah, so she's going into that round of six. She can be quite sure she's
but
going to be
then,
in round of six because Lenny's potentially going next.
but even if there's six left and it's just her and Sock versus the other four at that point, if I do go out, which let's be real, yeah, probably going to. Um, but then even if she uses the idol, it would still be 2 against 3 if her and Sock stay in. So it's like,
But then any you keep it you're extending yourselves, like
oh,
just extending yourselves past round into the round of five. Anything could happen.
yeah, but if
You,
if you know if she takes out a Chris, then suddenly they're down to like
you're
two on
saying
that
she's then got the
side.
numbers.
Yeah, and then we're
Yeah.
down to 2 on our side, and her and Soccer on 2. Holly's
I
just
would
sort of
argue,
floating, and it's
in
anyone's
her
game.
defence, if looking back and watching it, I think having you as an ally is probably a negative one. Like, I think you are so conniving and sneaky that
I
you
have to
just
be. No one trusts me. I'm forced into that position.
I don't know.
I
I
would
think
stay honest, but it's a kill or be killed world, and everyone wants to kill me.
I think Lenny's a great ally, to be honest. I think he does what's in his best interests. Like I no offense, Strath, but I would much rather have Lenny as an ally than you in this game, based on what I've
you'd much
watched back.
rather have the man who just said, "Oh no, as soon as I get the one up on someone, I'm gonna turn on them," than the man who said, "Oh no, I take Lenny to the end."
Yeah, but I think in like the last 3 votes, you just voted for whoever you wanted rather than
Yeah,
what was in the best
I
interest
mean,
of the
watching it back,
alliance.
I don't remember it too much at the time. I was shocked at how much of a loose cannon I was in strategy still. I was just like, fuck it, who cares? Like, I'd kind of just had this, my time is up. I'm going to be going. There's no way I'm making it in. I'm going to take as many people down with me as I bloody can.
Like in this
Yeah.
episode, we see you still throwing Lenny under the bus to people. Like I think as an ally, as long as like Lenny and my best interests align with each other, then like he's always going to be a great ally because he'll do what's like in the in the best for both of us. It's just when like it's later on in the game, and this like why I'd be concerned about having Noel as an ally as well, is that you're worried that they might turn on you earlier. And I think that's also the issue because they might think it's smarter to turn on the other player earlier, which is what you saw Lenny do to Noel, which was arguably, as it turns out, not in his best interest. So it'd probably be better for Lenny if Noel was still in the game at this point.
But he's not, and we all know Lenny's
But
going next.
again, I am happy to be sat here as someone who's better than Noel at season 2 of Survivor.
It's tough to say whether if you lasted a couple of spots further than someone, if you're actually better than them at the game.
Oh yeah, no. Not in every case, but in this exact specific case, yeah, I'm better than Noel.
I would also say in defense of Lucy, I mean we're talking about. I think Lenny sees the game at this point in a very black and white. Okay, it's those three versus everyone else. It's Big Dog, Isaac, and Divvy working together, and the rest of us are stupid if we don't get together. And that is sort of what we perceive as well, just based on the edit, and also because that is how the game is shaping up. Because that is what Lenny keeps saying is going to happen. Maybe that manifests it more. Like Strath, you've been telling us that all game you didn't realize how close that group of three was. Like I think it's a similar case for Lucy, and also in Lucy's mind, she's thinking, well, I've got Sock as an ally, and he's never going to turn on me. I've got Divya as an ally. She didn't turn on me when everyone else voted me out. So if she gets to that final five and has an idol, she thinks she's got. If she gets Sock and Divya there as well, I think from her perspective, she's probably in a great spot.
Yeah, I think she did the right thing. I think she's put herself arguably into the top 5 or 4 if she just plays it easy now without having to put too much effort in. She's made definitely the top 5 and possibly further, which is more than we can say about me. So,
All right, should we talk a bit about the immunity challenge?
yeah, definitely.
So painful.
You're such a little arsey boy, Lenny.
No, honestly, it took so long for the skin on my it took so many layers of skin off. It took an unbelievable amount of time to heal.
I think
a disgrace.
One of the only things I have to say coming out the whole game is Mike has been treated unfairly by Lenny. Admittedly, this is coming from someone who benefited from the majority of Mike's decisions. But yeah.
See, a lot of the time, I'm not even that annoyed. I just find it funny that Mike's going to have to watch this back, and it's just going to be me slacking him off. Just an enjoyable thing to do. And during the challenge, you've obviously got to try and get the ref to be a bit more biased towards you by complaining about decisions.
We'll let Mike carry on and ask his questions. I have some very specific input with regards to the challenges themselves.
Well, I mean, Strath, if you've got any challenge-related input, then feel free to.
Not necessarily challenge-related input. It's not something for you. It's something I want to make sure everyone's aware of with regards to my game strategy, which was quite obvious for someone who said they're being honest. I was purely just shithousing that whole every challenge I got a chance. I was trying to bend the rules as much as I didn't realize until watching this episode how much I just basically tried to trip Isaac up in that in that challenge. Every time he moved, I just tried to trip him up. Like I think it's not the first time. I think it was quite obvious who had most of the input with regards to there being a video review. I didn't see Isaac hold his disc up. I just jumped on the bandwagon of, it's another chance for me. Previous challenges, the whole time I was I think one of the challenges I'd start putting mud in something to try and help the team.
Oh, I think that was fair. I think that was fair game.
It wasn't the only cheeky thing I was doing. Hiding the book behind my back in one of the challenges. I think in 50% of the challenges, I was trying to push the grey areas, trying to push the boundaries. That's
the best way to do it. That's how the game's meant to be played.
By any means. And I think it sums me up challenge and competitive wise. I will stay in the grey areas if it means I win. I don't care.
Yeah, I think that's what the issue is, because Noel does that a lot as well, and you're on the same tribe. So
yeah.
Season 3, you guys are on opposite tribes, let's put it that way.
Yeah, I think the other obvious one is there's been a lot of people asking about the showboating. From what I remember, that was like the initial idea was me and Max. It's like, let's go out there and just get in their faces. Like, I didn't care. We came out and just made as much noise as we could. We had no honour about ourselves with regards to winning challenges. We just came out and were like, whatever we can do to get in their heads. I mean, it worked to a certain extent. We won a hell of a lot of challenges. And it's not just capability, I don't think. Winning stuff like that is not just... It's the same in any sport. There is a mentality to winning, I think. And if the opponents can get in your head, they're giving themselves an advantage. Like you see it in any sport, people will do what they can. You see it in darts all the time. Just people trying to slow the game or speed the game up to their kind of standard because it's the best way to win. Play your game and put the other team off their game. You're going to win regardless of what the challenge you're trying to do is.
In this episode, Sock says that he's going to play his own game. Is this possible in Survivor when there's 7 other players in there?
Is it possible? Yes. I think I'm a prime example of someone who plays their own game. Is it successful? No, I'm a prime example of someone who plays their own game and is unsuccessful.
Also, what do we think? So, Strath, you think no cradle? Lenny, cradle or no cradle on Isaac in the immunity challenge?
I would have been demanding a replay. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. I didn't see it live. Obviously, I didn't see it. I was focused on trying to trip Isaac up. but
I never thought of tripping as a viable option. I should have gone for that.
Hell yeah.
Maybe a little shoulder, maybe a little elbow into Isaac's ribs would have got me through.
Isaac, he's great as Isaac. He's a good athlete. He's smart. I think he's too nice for that kind of stuff. He's obviously good at what he does, and he's good at loads of sports. But he's so nice. So for me, him being better than me athletically, I have to bring him down to my level, and it didn't work. He still won, didn't he? But I think there was a couple of other challenges where maybe it did work. Just bringing people like that down to your level because you're not equal with them. It's not a prideful way to play games. But if it gets, they don't ask you how, they ask you how many and all that.
Lenny, so you obviously tried your little Hail Mary strategy of throwing the disc up and trying to knock the other one down. You tried that, I think, twice in the pre-merge game. Didn't work either time there. Interesting gambit to go for it again.
See, the thing is, Mike, I just can't disc joust, so may as well just get it over with quickly, right? If I'm going to lose.
I kind of wish Ben was on the side, just heckling him again.
Just yelling about his tremor.
Ben deserves more respect than everyone's giving him, I'm telling you.
I'm gutted you've switched it from... Well, it was a game I was bad at when it was the podium thing, which somehow I won, and it would have been great if you switched it to a game that I was good at. That would have been lovely. Something to do with the basketball hoop, I would have been right in there.
The one thing you really succeeded at, throwing a basketball into the hoop from 4 yards away.
Yeah. Did you do that, Strath?
Well, yeah,
I actually remember you missing. Yeah. So,
yeah. Strath, I also remember you picking the spot that they threw from. So,
bring out Mulkey again. Go inside your little Mario Kart tournament.
Maybe if I'd kneecapped Lenny before that challenge, I might have won it.
God, how much would it have completely killed the momentum of the series? Have one of the immunity challenges I'd ushered everyone inside and just made people play Mario Kart.
I would have loved it. That would have been highlight of the day for me. Obviously, I would have won. So
I'm all for Mario Kart. So you could have seen me just pulling the batteries out of my remote and going, "Oh, that's not fair. My remote's batteries."
Yeah, watching you and Noel try and
just cheat, just pure out cheat.
Isaac does win immunity, so that's one of your targets off the board. Really, would you guys have preferred to get rid of Isaac or Big Dog in this vote?
Big Dog, I reckon.
Okay. So we go to the strategy, and I've got a few notes for this, but I feel like we can jump around a bit. But one of the things that I did want to say when deciding between the two of you, Big Dog says, "I think Lenny's cleverer." What do we think of that?
One of the two of us is undertaking a PhD, so I think that says all it needs to say, really.
That was one of the few things. I filmed a lot of these strategy sessions, and I was usually able to keep a pretty straight face, and obviously I had to because people are speculating on information in the game, and I obviously know about idols and stuff, so I know what's going on. But that was the one thing that just made me burst out laughing.
I did a knee slide in my room when I've heard Chris say that. Fantastic.
We also find out, unfortunately for you, Strath, that Sock has blabbed about the steal vote advantage, so everyone is aware of that.
Honestly.
Is there anyone you're not going to call a rat in this series?
No, all six of the people left. All rats.
Strath, you gave Big Dog some credit earlier for seeing through your idol bluff, but Lucy comes over and calls it out to your face. Should this have been a red flag for you? Because she's just like, "Oh, I feel like there's been so many idols," and Holly's like, "No, there haven't. Should this have made you think maybe Lucy's got one?
Yeah, as I said before, I wasn't very socially observant, very strategical, I don't think. And I think I really underestimated how much the idols would impact things. I think it's obvious in the way I played that clue earlier. Like, I wasn't too fussed by them. I didn't really know who had what. I knew they were around. I knew roughly what they did, but yeah, I don't think it was something I was tracking as such.
Lenny, you are speaking to Divya, and I think are you also speaking to Holly this round? Yeah. Do you want to just chat about that? Did you think there was any hope? You were just like, oh well, I'm with Divya now anyway. May as well speak to her.
Yeah, I mean, you might as well go for it. If you think you're going out anyway, why not give it all you've got and try and yeah, even if it doesn't work, maybe you sow the seeds of doubt and you ruin someone's game later on. Um, but I think it's worth going for, absolutely. And you hear from Divya's confessional, she's thinking about it.
I do want to talk about this, Strath, because of all of the moments that happened this round, I think this is the moment that you play the worst. Because I think like, okay, fair play. We can justify you bluffing about the idol because like I think that was smart because Sock did just go and tell everyone, and I think had he told everyone that you had an idol, maybe they actually vote Lenny off here instead. It just so happened that you only told them about the Steeler vote, but you're chatting with Lucy, okay, and she's just in the middle of telling you how worried she is about Isaac, Divya, and Big Dog as a trio. And she's just about to start saying, I think we should go for that. And then you call over Isaac to join the chat.
Loose cannon. I was just jumping on Lenny's rap bandwagon. Oh, Isaac, by the way, Lucy's got something to say. I don't know. I think I have a habit of not listening to things I'm being told, potentially.
You say this round that you do have, while you don't trust Lenny, you do trust Isaac. Was it like anything that Isaac was doing in the game that you felt like some kind of kinship with? What was going on there?
Like I said, I think even just prior to the game, I think Isaac's a very trustworthy person. I don't think we'd had too many clashes. I obviously when the previous round we'd been voting for Isaac, it's a case of me trying to save my own skin stuff. But I also a lot. I think at that point there wasn't a lot of players I like. Lenny, I didn't trust. Chris, I didn't trust. Sock, I was a bit on edge about, but mainly it wasn't that I didn't trust him. I just thought he's a bit wild. Divya, Holly, Isaac, they're all quite trustworthy people. They've always struck me as people who are honest and stuff. So, but like I said, I didn't realise how much Holly had impacted the previous round, stuff like that.
Yeah, I didn't know Holly had that in her,
Yeah.
honestly.
I think
It
that
was
was
very impressive.
probably one of the biggest shocks watching it was Holly in that previous episode just instantly going and outing someone like that.
She was so smooth. Like,
Yeah, she did a great job. If you'd have called me up 6 months ago and said who was the person who probably did the least amount of snaking, straight away I think I would have said Holly. Like, but if she's once again still in the game and she's in a fairly strong spot now. Like,
Yeah, I mean, we're saying in the last episode that was kind of the interesting thing about that round that you pitched it to both Lucy and Divya, and they didn't like they just kind of locked it away and didn't mention it to Big Dog and Isaac. But it was Holly was the only one that went straight to them.
if anything, it just got tighter in with that group. Admittedly, it's a bridge she's still got to cross going down the line with the way the game looks like it's going. But I think half of it is just extending yourself, getting yourself into a stronger position over and over, and then if you are in a weaker position, just trying to claw your way through. And I think she got herself into a good position, similar to like what I was saying about Lucy.
Yeah, talk to me about where you think Holly's at in the game then at this point. So it looks like she's sort of ingrained with that for like, is it smart for her just to let both of you go at this point?
Yeah, yes and no, because like I said, you look at the game right now and you can say who the last three are going to be. You look at it and you go, it's going to be them three, isn't it? They're very obviously in control, unless something mad happens. I don't think Sock's got too much going for himself. Lucy's admittedly got that idol. Holly's got her idol. They've got bits and bobs, but if you disregard idols, then I think them three have the game wrapped up to a certain extent. But once again, if you get yourself into a position where you can betray people, then at least you're in that position. It's better than the position where I was in this episode, where I didn't trust the one person helping me. I trust people who weren't helping me, and I couldn't flip on anyone. I was in a corner, really. But Holly has options, I think, which is the biggest thing. Lenny's going into this next episode in a horrendous spot. Holly
I'm not sure
has
it looks worse for
next few
anyone.
rounds. And she's still, we don't know what's going to happen in the next episode. She's obviously showing her loyalty to them three now. They're still in a position where Lenny could well persuade Holly, Sock, and Lucy, and all of a sudden Holly's one of the strongest positions there. She's possibly in the best position to flip and not flip.
Mm.
And she's still got time to do stuff as well, which obviously I don't have. So
Yeah, I think Holly will probably be in the middle at some point in the remainder of the game. I mean, it's not looking great for Lenny, but in theory, you've got if you are going to make a move against those three, then it's probably
he's
worth
still
waiting
got
until
chance.
seven.
He's still got probably one more chance. Looking at this is his last chance, but it's still a chance. It's not like it's him and 5 reds solidly right now. There is still him, 3 reds, and 3 other people that have idols and stuff like that. Holly, I think she's got herself in a good position, and she's not been awfully, as I said, snaky. She's had the one thing, but she's done it fairly well in a way of building people's trust that puts herself in a position to then turn on them.
Mm. Okay, I'm keen to talk about Divya. So we see a chat from Divya, and she's paranoid, and I want to just do this as a PSA right now. So she's saying to Big Dog that she's paranoid because she thinks that people have been talking about her, and that's because, and this is something that you shouldn't do in this game, just as a spirit thing. Like, while she's been in chatting with some people, she's been looking over at other people talking and been trying to see what they're saying. That's a bad spirit move. Like, you shouldn't do that. If you're in one chat, you're not like it's. Like, we're doing the best we can in a small amount of space. So, like, try and avoid looking over other people.
Blame the master of ceremonies, Lenny. He needs a bigger garden. It's only Mike's fault.
But I think also in this instance, like, it's not led to correct information because she thinks they're talking about her. Like, they weren't. Like, I think they mentioned the fact that they thought she had an idol. They weren't going after her, but she's now made herself paranoid because of this. So she's now considering getting rid of Sock and Lucy. What do we think of Divya's standing in the game at this point in terms of that group of 3?
Well, I think you know my opinion. I made it pretty clear during that episode what my opinion on the situation was.
Them 3 are in a good position. All 3 of them. I don't think they've worked awfully hard to get in that position. I think it's just fallen into their laps. I think they're 3 quite trustworthy players, fairly strong athletically, and they've managed to. The game has worked out well for them as opposed to they've played the game well, from my point of view. Which maybe some people would say is them playing the game well, but I don't think they've worked hard for it.
Who do you think is going to win out of that 3? Let's assume that Lenny goes next, then Sock and or Lucy are the next 2. Holly goes at 4. Who wins the final 3 challenge and who takes who to the end?
I think it'd be Isaac and Divya in the final because you'd be a fool to take the dog. Unless he wins the immunity, there's no way he's going to the.
I think Isaac would win the challenge and he'd take Divya.
Yeah, that'd be my prediction.
Okay, right. Well, fingers crossed for Big Dog at the final 3, or taking a shot at Isaac beforehand.
I will say
the real question is who beats Lenny in that final 3 when he's there, because man's a force to be reckoned with. I'm telling you.
Everyone's just gonna, lay their weapons down when it's final 3 with me. There, they'd just be like, you know what, mate, you deserve it. What a player! What a player! We'll give you the win.
I think if Lenny made it to the final 3, Mike would have a challenge where, like, you've got a shot glass filled to the brim with water and you've got to hold it on your finger, and then you just have Ben heckling from the background. Hold it steady, Lenny.
I could see him bringing out one of those, like, the long, like, bendy metal wires, and you've got to, like, pass the loop through it.
I think arguably the whole game was rigged. I think Mike's already called the winner, and he knows what he's doing.
Well, yeah, I already called the winner, but I called the winner as Faris, so I've clearly not. I've done terribly. I picked the second boot as my winner. I'm gutted as well because if this was season one, then I would have picked Divya as my winner, and she's still in the game, so I'd be looking good. And based on what we've just said, it sounds like she's about to go to final two. So
Yeah.
I was this close to picking her as well. I couldn't ignore Faris. I thought he had it on lock. So it seems like Strath's off the plan, and it seems like Strath, you're saying, do you know what? Like, screw it. I'm sort of leaning towards going for Lenny, but then Sock comes over and he talks you back into it.
Come on. Plan's back on.
I think I trusted Stock more than I trusted Lenny. And I don't think it cost me. I really don't. It's hard to call because I remember watching the votes happening, and I don't think anyone made mistakes playing advantages or idols. I think that's how the cookie crumbles, and Mike's just whining about stuff. I think I should be allowed to say I'm going to steal a vote whenever I bloody want. Thank you. Don't need your little orange text telling me what to do.
No, I don't understand what you were trying to do. Like, what?
I don't remember. I honestly don't remember. I saw the text come up and I thought it rings a bell, but I thought the only mistake I'd made game wise was voting for Sock when he's immune. I'd forgotten that I'd done something, but you've got the video, so what
Okay,
exactly
so just to make it very clear, on the stealer vote, it makes it very clear that it has to be played when I say it's time to vote. Because obviously you can't play it after everyone's cast the vote because you can't steal someone's because all the votes have been cast. So I don't know what was going on. It was very clear. I also, during that round, I came up to you and I said, you talking about the stealer vote, and I was just like, oh yeah, just to be clear, if you are going to play it at this tribal council, which you told me that you wanted to do, I said, so when I say it's time to vote, then you stand up and you play it then. So I made it so clear in multiple ways. So then when at the end I was just like, does anyone have anything to say before I go to vote? And then you were just like, oh, I'm the best competitor or something like that. I was just like, do you know what? Fine. You're going to vote then.
Loose cannon.
Yeah, I think we'll go back to a point I made earlier about I apparently don't listen to valuable bits of information.
It was on paper that you had. You read
or
it.
read. It's not just listen. Apparently I don't read valuable information either.
So as soon as that then finishes, everyone goes off to vote. So I go over to Strath and I'm just like, right. And he's just like, oh, so whose vote can I steal then? And I was like, what do you mean? Like, you have to have stolen it already. I'm going to have to call everyone back. I think half the people have filmed their confessionals who they're going to vote for. So then everyone has to re-vote after that. I had to call everyone back in.
That fascist attempt at a northern accent is going to really kill half your fan base. I think you forget that the 16 views you get, I have 8 siblings, and 9 of your viewers are northern. Like I said at the start of the podcast, I put my hands up. I made another mistake.
However, you do steal Big Dog's vote, which I think so for any future prospective players out there, okay, the way to use a stealer vote, if you're going to steal someone's vote, you don't steal the vote of your target, okay? Because if you have to re-vote, then that player can't vote, so you then have one less vote in the re-vote. So let's assume you take Big Dog's vote here and Sock's on your side, okay? It's then a 4-4 tie between Lenny and Sock. So between Lenny and Big Dog, Lenny can't vote, but then Big Dog can't vote as well. So then it's still a tie.
Oh, that's how it works. So
I didn't realise that. Maybe Mike's lying all along. Maybe he didn't explain the rules to me properly, and it's actually his fault that I didn't steal a vote.
I was going to ask what were the rules if a tie. So does Strath keep his extra vote in the top if we re-vote?
Only if it can still be stolen by the sounds of it.
Yes. So if you, in this case, because you voted for Holly, you would have had the extra vote because you would have had Big Dog. So you would have then won, assuming that Sock was on your side. So you would have won that on the re-vote. But had you voted for Big Dog instead and taken his vote, then it still would have tied.
I completely forgot that we changed to Holly.
Yeah, I forgot we changed to Holly. I thought you were calling me out on being even more crap than I already am.
Well, yeah, I think that was very exciting for me when I was looking in the urn because I was like, damn, when did it change to Holly? Like, what's going on there?
You can see us all chatting. And I think at that point, when me and Lenny are chatting to Sock and Sock's chatting to Lucy, I really thought we were going to swing something. I think when we were playing the game, I really thought this might actually work now. But all it took was one of them to potentially have changed, and it would have.
Yeah, so let's start it back. So obviously Holly then stands up to go to play her idol for Big Dog. I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, you can do it if you want, but it's too soon. Like, if you are going to do it, wait until the vote's been cast. So then at that point, Lenny, you just like, okay, well, she's probably still going to play it for Big Dog. We should switch it and vote for
Yeah.
someone else.
Well, yeah, I'm already saying it when she's saying play it for Big Dog. I'm like, right then, well, we'll just vote for Holly, and then she takes it back, and it's like, well, still stands. If she plays it for Big Dog, then she'll go out, and
But
if that happened, it would be very funny. So,
if the votes had been tied between me and Holly, I wouldn't have got to vote again, would I? So wouldn't my steal vote have been lost as well?
All right, well, sneaky little extra bonus footage from me this podcast. So this is a future version of Mike coming to you right now. Later on, Strath's going to ask about who the best competitor in the game was. So I've run the stats on this now, and I've actually figured it out for you, Strath. So we're going to do an awards podcast at the end of the season where we're going to go through all of that and give out some awards for various achievements over the course of this season. So that will definitely be in there. That'll be something to look out for. We can find out whether Strath truly was the best competitor, or whether there's someone else that's been out there this whole time after all. However, in terms of this specific situation, solving the stealer vote crisis that we have, myself, Strath and Lenny, we bandy it back and forth for a little bit after this, which I'm going to cut out all off because this is the authoritative decision right here. Okay, so first of all, there is a precedent for this typically in US Survivor. Strath raises a very valid question here. However, what usually happens on a tiebreaker is that both players involved in the tiebreak lose their votes and therefore don't vote. In theory, that's just because they would simply vote for each other. However, very interestingly, this has come to light just after the latest episode of season 47, where two players are involved in a tiebreaker and one of them didn't have a vote to begin with. So Jeff lets the other player vote regardless, which would imply that Strath would be able to vote once because he would have 2 votes to Holly's 1 in this instance. In the moment, that precedent would not have been set. However, so let's assume that, in this situation, we've got Strath, Lenny and Sock all working together as a 3. Big Dog's vote is stolen, and there's 4 votes on Holly, and then the other 4 all vote for Strath. Okay, so Strath would, in theory, lose his vote, and as would Holly. My authority would have been at the time, having sat down and thought about it. If Strath's asking me whether he can re-vote, Strath himself cannot vote. However, it's Big Dog's vote that he's stolen. So my logic would be he's technically voting on behalf of Big Dog. Therefore, that vote does still count. So Strath would still have 1 vote on the re-vote, which means that it would tie again at 3-3. Okay, so at that point, I would presumably have given them that information so they know Strath would vote. So they would probably try and coerce Lucy to join them and make it a 4-2 on the re-vote. However, potentially unlikely, and therefore it probably ties up again at 3-3. So that is the authority on the situation. He would have had 1 vote on the re-vote. He would have had Big Dog's vote. So there we go, solved. And do you know what, guys? Have a great rest of the podcast.
Okay, yeah, he doesn't know. He doesn't know the rules.
Well, no, I know the rules. It would have been easy at the time. Sorry, it's been a year and a half. I'm just trying to. You're throwing questions at me. I'm trying to figure it out.
Question the host. Mike, who did you want to win? No, when you went into the game, not who did you think would win, who did you want to win? Who were you like, they're a nice player?
I mean, I had predicted Faris to win, so I would have liked it if he'd have made a deep run, so my prediction would have been good.
But deep down, did you want me to win?
What I wanted more than anything was for it to be a fun game, in the sense that, like, exciting to watch back.
He's a cop-out.
There's nothing that I would have hated more than if, like, there had been, like, 2 tribes, Merak had gone to the merge with, like, 1 more player than Ruba, and then all of Ruba had been voted out, and then just Merak just kind of then vote off, like, Ben and Max and Strath, and then, like, Noel and Oscar at the end.
There is one person you can thank for that then, and that person's in this meeting right now. That person got
and that person's me.
And came back like a bloody tornado and shook everything up. From a tribe that after 5 rounds was completely in control that weekend, I single-handedly threw the book. So I don't know.
Well, no, I think if
kitchen
anything, it's the
sinker.
opposite because you confessed earlier that had you made it to the merge, you would have kept that tribe together.
Yeah.
So I think we could thank Noel for voting you off.
Okay, arguably Noel has made this the most exciting weekend.
And he barely got to take part on the second day. So
No, he knew he was doing it for me. I appreciate it.
The
He
man
knew
took
he'd
a
go
bullet
down
for
for it.
entertainment. He realised how boring season 1 was and was like, nah, not having that again. Let's really shake it up.
I mean, season 1, I guess there was an alliance that did steamroll it, but then it fractured before the end, so it couldn't really happen all the way. But yeah, no, it definitely made it way more exciting how it ended up going. One more question just about this vote in particular. Do you think, had you not switched the vote to Holly, do you think Sock would have still been on board to get rid of Big Dog? Do you reckon Sock only didn't go through with it because it was Holly?
do you know who would know? Sock. So why not just ask him, Mike?
I don't think Stock would know. I think them strikers in football who they don't know what they're going to do. So obviously the defender can't defend against them because not even the striker knows what they're going to do, and they end up being world class strikers. I think Stock's like that. If he doesn't know what he's going to do, how can you call him out? And I thought at the point I was in a dire situation, and then when we switched votes, I thought, oh, Sock and Lucy are considering this. I thought we had more of a chance when we were switching votes.
Do you think it benefits Sock and Lucy more to vote out Holly than Big Dog here? Because it seems like they're trying to sort of be, if you got that 3 in a tight alliance, they're sort of trying to be the extra to that alliance. But at the moment, Holly is that extra to that. So I feel like Holly's kind of taking the spot that they want.
They could get right in and then just vote me and Strath out anyway.
I think the 3 Reds are just trying to pull someone in to keep the vote on their side. But if them 3 flip, they've got no choice. The 3 Reds.
I've got a couple of notes from Tribal Council. Let's see if there's anything significant. Oh, Lenny, you just straight up call out the Ruba 3 in front of everyone.
Yeah.
You're all blind.
Very blind.
Blind. That was my biggest fan.
Is it?
She was cheering me through every episode. I think she's watched like 2 of them.
No, but she's in the most recent one though.
No, I like I said, I've been away all week at work.
Oh no, so she doesn't know that you're.
No, she does. I think. Yeah, I think I told her as soon as we played the game. I think like the Sunday I got back, I told her. However long ago that was. Sorry, Mike. I'll let you carry on. Go back to your question you had, Polena.
Oh, I mean, if Beth has any opinions on your gameplay, then from the couple of episodes she's seen, I'm sure we'd all be interested to hear.
Beth only has bad opinions for me. She's come to sit there. Look what you think. She only has bad.
I'll come on for this.
Come on, scoot in, otherwise you're going to be blurry.
Okay. I think it's fair to say his gameplay was harsh, and I'm not surprised at the fact. I think I'll leave it at that. I think you were undeniably you. In your
I think that's the best way to describe me. Undeniably you. Yeah.
Do you think was he cruising? Was he cruising for a bruising?
Oh, absolutely.
Yes. I think she, to be fair, that does sum up my game. Like, just went in with the same kind of personality I always have, and it will only get me so far.
Yeah, Lenny, you call out the Ruba 3 at Tribal Council.
Yeah. I feel like if you watch it back, I was actually just fuming at this tribal council. Like I say this answer, and I'm clearly not the happiest. And then after that, everyone else's answer, I'm just sat there, just shaking my head the whole time.
I remember on the weekend at this point when I got out thinking, Lenny's getting really agitated by this. And like we'd have like quick discussions outside of like the game in between episodes, and I think he's actually like really into it. He's getting really annoyed at people not kind of like it just going in the way it is. And I remember thinking I didn't realize how involved he was, but then at the same time I didn't realize how involved I got in this tribe. Like after Lenny makes this comment, I start making like snarky little comments. I think someone says like Chris says, "Oh, I'll be voting for this a really strong competitor anyway." And I was like, surely the strongest competitor is the person wearing the necklace. And like I was making snarky little remarks as well after Lenny's thing, I think as well.
It's just fun. It's fun to, if you're gonna go out, you might as well try and stir the pot a bit.
No, I'm swinging, yeah.
And I was hoping that even if we do go out, then at least me saying it this obviously will hopefully try and persuade the others to not just die, which is what I thought was going to happen. But
Yeah, I
I
think
really enjoyed just like pointing to each person and telling them exactly when they were going to get voted out of the game. It's really, really fun.
yeah, I think you guys call out Divya and Lucy at this tribal council. I will say, Lenny, there's nothing funnier than you calling out Big Dog Isaac and Divya in front of the jury, and then when Divya says, "I feel like Lenny's put a target on my back," you just looking at her and being like, "No."
Yeah, I don't know why I did that. I should have just held firm. But I didn't really put a target on her back. Not more than any of the other two.
Big Dog calls Lenny the best competitor. Don't know if you guys caught that one.
Yeah, Big Dog, I think he's in love with me. I'm going to say it this episode.
He's wrong.
Secretly doing anything he can to keep me in the game.
I think if you've got on your little Excel sheet, it says who had the highest win percentage, and I think we know whose name's next to that bonus, right? It's got to be me. I went out before our team properly started losing. I won the redemption challenge. I came in and I knocked it out of the park.
Who do you think's got the lowest?
One of the Reds because of how many.
Yeah, which of the? It's got like
Big Dog. Thinking about it, the man was useless.
Might be Lucy.
I still because Big Dog struggled with Ninja. He struggled with. Also, I mean that Ninja episode was excellent. Watching Big Dog just
Why
get
is he so bad?
But I think Big Dog probably has the lowest win percentage. If you don't include like anomalies like the first Red to go out, or the first 4 Reds to go out, because obviously they lost everything they were involved with, I would have thought Big Dog has the lowest.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, Archie and Faris.
Yeah,
They
it's got to be
definitely
one of the Reds because the Blues won so many in the tribe portion of it that.
I'm surprised you don't have stats for this kind of thing, Mike.
What on the challenges? All right,
Yeah.
let's, I'll whip up the spreadsheet.
Hey, I've watched some of this podcast, and you two do not appreciate the challenges at all. Ooh, it's all strategy. Ooh,
It is all strategy.
Grow up.
You can't win 14 immunities in a row, so
Hey,
have a bit of
you
strategy.
can get bloody closer, right? Surely you can just open the podcast with this. Just best little snippet on what happens while Lenny's having a wee.
Yeah, thrilling talk, actually. Great conversation, great podcasting.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe we just make the whole episode that. We'll cut out all of the Survivor crap.
Have you given Lenny his invite? Maybe we just don't invite him back. How annoyed would Lenny be if you uploaded the next podcast and it's just all the cuts he's not in? Just like a 10-minute thing of every second he's not in this Zoom recording. I just start the first 5 minutes with just stuff that he is not involved in at all.
It's always tempting to do things like that, but it takes so long to like edit. Like in like the Survivor episodes as well. Like I made the joke at the end that I'm going to cut Ben Roberts out the whole season. Like I would have done it for a laugh, but it would have taken so long.
Just use like one of them blur effects on him whenever he's in any important shots.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm nowhere near good enough at editing to be able to have blur effects following people's faces as it goes along. It would have been funny though, especially because Billy quit the game. Like it would have been great if I'd have just cut him out the whole season.
Got a blur effect on.
For work.
Oh. All right. Sorry, I'll leave you to it. Sorry, the microwave goes off.
You will it.
Should the move have been to get rid of you, Lenny?
I am the cleverer one, so
He called it out. He said Lenny's the cleverer one, so maybe Chris doesn't know what he's doing.
I think I'm the Joker to Chris's Batman. You know, he needs me in the game. He needs that enemy.
I would have thought you're more the Penguin to Chris's Batman. I'm more irrelevant. Actually,
I'll take it.
Was it smart because they're choosing between Lenny, who they think is more of a strategic risk, versus Strath, who now has this advantage that they're not exactly sure what it is.
I don't think it matters too much, to be fair. I think if they'd have got Lenny in this round, it'd just be the exact same spot, but with me in Lenny's position and I mean, obviously, I would arguably win the next 5 Uni challenges, but apart from that, if the the 0.1% chance of that not happening, then I'd be the next person going. I think, and not that Lenny's the next person going, but it's hard to
Well,
see going elsewhere, isn't it? I remember watching the in like the first episode when there's like the pre-game introductions, and I remember filming that in my flat in Southampton and watching it back before sending it Mike and being like, "Yeah, I've come off quite cocky in that. That's what I'm going for, to be fair." And then watching it in the episode and thinking, "Fuck me, I'm just such an insufferable bastard."
No, I think it was good. I think it was good that you came in with a shtick, and then I think it's hard to carry it off for the whole season. And I'm glad that you didn't commit too hard to that. But yeah, no, it's very funny for an intro video because most people are just like, "Oh, hey, my name's so and so. I've watched a bit of season one. Not really sure what's going on. We'll just turn up, see how it goes," kind of thing. I think anyone that called out any other player was very funny, and
I
anyone
just
that
I
just
remember slagging off Oscar quite a lot in mine.
yeah, that was good. I'm
I'm
not sure.
pretty sure.
Hmm.
Surely Ben Roberts slagged off Oscar a lot. It is, no? I know he didn't know how loyal he was at that point, but Ben really had something going with Oscar, didn't he?
That was probably the most unexpected part of the whole season. Is Ben coming on here and just going off Oscar. I still don't believe it.
If
It's amazing.
in the mythical season three, if it ever materializes, I will invite Ben Roberts on the condition that in his intro video he only talks about Oscar.
You've
And
got
then
to put
you
them
and
together
then
as
you
well.
blur and then you blur him out of every episode.
Yeah. What do we think about Sock here? Because I think he's really the main one to discuss in terms of this move. What do we think? He should have stuck with you guys. By the sound of things, maybe it would have required Sock and Lucy together to make this move.
But I feel like yeah, he did try and convince Lucy. I think he just didn't do a good enough job, and then you know didn't think it was going to happen because Lucy wasn't on board. So at that point, yeah, back out. I'd probably back out
Classic
if you know
Lenny,
it's going
blame
to
someone
fail.
else for his failures. But I think everyone always just thought Sock would be going.
But he is playing the middle quite nicely at
Yeah,
this
yeah,
point.
he's doing a
Like
grand job. He's doing a great job. I
he
remember,
is
but
sort of in with just both sides, like not
yeah,
fully in, but
he has to be the most
no one
like,
wants him off, really.
yeah, he's just kind of, oh, well, that player that is, oh, we'll get them next round. We'll get them in the future. They're not going to cause us issues. So although I think, like looking at it, you kind of think Lenny's going next, and then what, Sock or Lucy maybe. It could just keep doing that. Oh, we'll get him in a few more rounds, and then when it gets down to it, all he needs to do is win an immunity out of nowhere, and that get him in a few rounds becomes Christ, he's in the last 3 kind of thing.
Yeah, I think there's definitely potential there, but I would add, I'm not sure it's a situation of his creation at this point. I think he played
Yes,
3 rounds in a row very poorly, happens to still be in the game, but I think he's definitely got some options now.
yeah, I agree. He's looked into it. I think but I think at the same time, I, the only person you'll know by asking is him. But there's players that can't do that. Like Lenny Noel would never get away with that because they've got a name on their backs immediately for previous seasons. Players like me and Isaac, I think we've got names, and we've got names on our backs just for being competitive. You've got to have a very specific personality and what have you to, especially when everyone kind of knows each other going into it. I think.
Especially like going into the season, everyone kind of unanimously was just like, well, obviously Sock will be out as soon as his tribe loses, kind of thing. Like, do you think just the way he's been playing, the sort of frantic energy that he has, and the way that he's just kind of always just doing random stuff that doesn't seem to be in his best interest, that in a way has just kind of taken the target off his back now?
How many votes has he had? Not including when he's been immune.
Oh yeah, I said we're going to look at the thing, didn't I? All right, let's share it. And then if you want to follow who's been immune for all you guys stat crunching out there, it's all the people in green, and then obviously for the tribe stage, that's fairly easy to follow. Yeah, I think Lenny's probably individually leading the pack so far. He's had 5. Oh no,
Yeah.
sorry. Well, you got to ignore one of the episode 12 bars, haven't you? Because that's in a
Oh
twice.
yeah,
So Lenny's had 4. I think. Yeah, clubhouse leader right now, Lenny.
Best competitor.
I've
Come
had three.
on.
I've had three. All right.
Yeah,
You can't,
you're not going to get
I
anything more
argue,
of them, are
no,
you?
no, we've got to include the tribe challenges. So, Lenny,
I
go
don't
on.
think so. I actually don't think that's a good
Yeah,
idea.
of course it is.
No, no, Mike, do not scroll
Maybe,
that way.
maybe if you knew how to play team games, then instead of
Look,
being a little,
it's not my fault my tribe is full of chumps, is it?
I don't think your tribe. I think everyone agrees that going into it, your tribe looked stronger than ours.
Look, we're the tribe of Tottenham Hotspur. We just bottled every single challenge, choke after choke.
Yeah, I mean,
No mentality.
I rewatched my cast assessment, and I thought that the Red tribe was going to dominate in the challenges.
Yeah, I think a few people have said that. I think a few people said when they got there and saw the tribes, they thought the red tribe would be
Yeah,
a bit more dominant.
I saw
Um,
Isaac and Will on our tribe, and I was like, yeah, we're cooking. Divya as well, fantastic.
I'll get the stats. I'll review them at the end of the season. I think we'll do like a proper like review podcast at the end where we give out various awards for things. I think there's a lot of good quotes that we've had this season, and there's actually a few more to come, if I do say so myself, that we can talk about there. Um,
I
but
can't
yeah,
imagine many from me though.
you've had a lot of good ones in this season. I'm not sure
Oh
if
no, no.
you.
I mean, there can't be many from me. There's a few more to come
I don't know. I
because
can't remember if you have a particularly good question at the final tribal council, Strath. We'll have to wait and see. So, Strath, I mean, obviously you're headed to the jury right now. What are you looking for in a winner?
I think once again it was just a fucking loose cannon kind of the last chance I have to really show how kind of chaotic I am.
Strath's now gone. Lenny, shall we eulogise the man?
Say goodbye to the best competitor the game's seen, burnt out twice, but made a bigger impact. Would have enjoyed him more if he actually trusted me at the very end when I was the only person who had his back. But God, it was fun to be ally for a couple of rounds, even if it all ended horribly for the
Are
both
still
of them.
allies? Are we not? Are we
Yeah,
still
we're still
still
allies,
allies? Yeah.
and
Season
you're maybe
three,
the only
baby.
person who gets to say that out of the game.
Exactly. I'll
So
take that.
Yeah, Lenny,
that's
what
an
was it like
honour.
playing the game with Strath? Like someone that's just kind of claiming to be very honest and upfront. Like, is that a help or a hindrance?
Well, I don't know. I didn't see all the stuff that was happening when I wasn't there, so I think I would have been fuming on the day if I caught wind of that. But yeah, I enjoyed it. It was fun. It was fun to try and the game up a bit, even if it all went wrong.
Yeah, I think definitely a big driving force behind a lot of the direction of the season. I wouldn't say necessarily amazing strategically, but I think I remember leaving the season thinking like Strath was terrible strategically, so many blunders. But watching it back, like things like this round, claiming you had an idol and stuff, I think that was probably a smart move, really, since Sock was just going to snitch about it anyway. Um, I think obviously you got voted out early. I think that was a huge mistake from the Blue Tribe. Like even in the next tribal council, I'm saying, guys, like, are you not? Surely he's just coming back in, right? So I was very aware at the time that you'd most likely be rejoining the game. I think then after that it was probably smart to switch up the strategy and work with some of the Reds, which you sort of did, but not really deliberately. I think if you'd have been trying to push harder to form some alliances, then I think maybe you have a little bit more traction behind you. But I think you're always going to struggle against like I think the reason why you were voted out the first time would just be the reason why they'd all go for you again. Just like he's going to be good in challenges. You're going to be someone out there that's trying to influence the votes. Whether or not it's in your best interest or not to vote that player out, you're going to be trying to convince other people to do so as well. And that will be a threat for other players in the game. So I think you're always going to be a huge threat. I'm not sure I had much faith at all in you actually getting to the end and winning just for that reason. I think like you're always going to be a huge target. And I think people are always going to be going for you. Maybe in the universe that you're able to keep all the blues together post merge, I think that's probably your best chance to win this particular version of the game. I would say in general, very fun to have a player that was actually pushing to win the game and just do random shit each round. Like that's always entertaining. Like someone that's just willing to do something rather than just like wait to be told what to do. That's always good fun. I think the being a bit too honest was I think that made it tough for you. But then I think once you realized, oh, I should actually like now I've voted for all the people that I wanted to. Now I should actually start doing stuff. I think that definitely made it a bit more exciting, bit of a renaissance for you. But I think gave a lot of good confessionals. All of the pageantry and celebrations with Merak was hilarious in the pre-merge. Um, but yeah, I very much enjoyed having you there. I wasn't sure which way it would go actually when we secured your spot on the season. I was just like, I feel like we're either going to get like full commitment or he's just not going to get it at all. And yeah, I think we definitely got the version that I was hoping for. Yeah, how would you rate your game, Strath?
I think similar. I think with regards to pure challenges wise, I think I made it obvious who I think the best competitor was.
But not statistically, as we found out. So
No.
I think it might be, to be honest. I think if we look back, he probably
no, we don't count team
If you
challenges.
include the team challenges,
He was
I
carried by the Blues.
I guess it depends on what emphasis we put on it. Because if we do only team challenges, then it's probably either Zhao or Max, right?
yeah.
All of those blue
would be-
wins are down to Oscar at the end of the day. They
Damn
don't
it.
count for anyone else.
Matter to me, it's the look of the draw. I think if you include the redemption challenge and the team challenges and anything that makes me look good,
Yeah.
best competitor. They'll get to see a true competitor showing them how it's done.
Are you a true competitor if you let your need for revenge get the better of you?
You could start one of the episodes with that. Just a voice from the background just saying, "Are you a true competitor if you let your needs for revenge get the better of you?" And then just have a highlight reel of me voting people out that voted me out. But yeah, I think you're completely right about socially. I'd never felt I had my finger on the pulse with regards to what was going on strategically. Or if I did, it was maybe a bit by accident, or just it didn't matter that much anyway because I was immune or something like that. But I enjoyed myself. I really did enjoy myself. I thought it was good. I enjoyed the challenges. I enjoyed watching Lenny's confessionals about how much he hates the game, yet has now participated in 2 seasons.
And I'd do it again.
I think me and Will can go out with our heads held high as being voted out regularly because of how much people fear us. So, yeah. But yeah, no, I did. It was good. I really enjoyed it. I think it was a fun experience.
I was the episode title this week.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I was happy with that.
What was it? It was clearly I'm not making it to the end. I feel like that's a great one because I try and do it so like because Survivor does the same thing. Like it's usually a quote from the episode, but normally it's something bait, just like it's like we're at school again, like that kind of like really bait confessional that someone gives every season, like about something that happens. So I think it's funny because I'm not sure anyone's ever said in a US episode of Survivor, just like, well, clearly I'm not going to win, so we should do blah blah blah. So I enjoyed that one. I'll tell you what, next episode, there's so many absolute belters in there. Yes, Fan Corner, of course. Strath, I take to the streets each week to find out what the fans have been saying and what people's hot takes are for the episode. It seems like typically you've had a bit of love from the fans out there, Strath. So we'll see.
Yeah, like I said, I think half of them are my siblings.
We're going to have a huge drop off in viewership. Come back for the end because Strath will be asking a jury question. Okay, here we go. Oh, fucking hell, Strath. Lenny, not in enough trouble here. Also, they're not keeping you after he's gone. You'll be next without hesitation. That was probably when you were trying to throw it on Lenny.
Okay.
People enjoying the Idol edit. So cheers for that. Thanks for that, everyone.
Which edit? Sorry,
I think both idols. So I imagine it's the one where people are just stood there right in front of the clue scroll.
Yeah, I enjoyed that. There was
Amazing.
a good 10 clips or so of just that being right next to someone's eye line.
Yeah, I think people just weren't expecting a little scroll, I guess. But
yeah,
I mean that's what it was in season 1 for some of them. Like obviously an idol is like a physical thing, so that's going to be a larger package. But yeah, like there might be scrolls and stuff. Okay. Oh yeah. People very excited that it was you that found it, Strath. I was going to ask you what you would have done had you found it a few rounds before, but I think incidentally this is probably the one round that would actually have been significant that you would have been able to use it.
Yeah, I think the previous round I was immune, uh, purely thanks to Lenny. I didn't realize how. I mean, I'm still going to claim the victory, but in that previous round where there was two immunities, that was awful. I just somehow my pin ended up quite far away. Lenny kept getting immune, and I just kept missing everything from what I remember. But like I said, they don't ask how, guys. They ask how many.
Oh yeah, when I run the stats for that challenge, there'll be a huge asterisk next to your win there.
Oscar gonna basically have his name under all the team challenges. Lenny can have his name on that one. How many did I win outside of that? Like 3?
I assume you won a ninja. Yeah, you did win a ninja. You won what was the episode? Oh, the holding Divya while she threw a free. I mean that's Divya's win, really.
Well, could Divya levitate on her own? Not that I
Sorry, Lenny,
remember.
you dropped out that one first. I can't believe you get an immunity win for that one, actually.
Hey, come on, they all count.
Right, do you know what? I think what we concisely prove, what we've proven here is that immunity wins, like the stats mean nothing.
Unless you're at the top, that is. In
Mm.
which case, they mean everything.
Okay, people rooting for Sock to work with you guys here to have a bit of a switch up. People upset with the rope burn. So I will say we had a different rope the day before, and then I can't remember what reason Veronica had, but she was just like, "Let's use this one instead," which
It was
I was just like,
awful.
"Fine," innocently, not realizing that it was clearly the rope of death. So I think we can put that one on.
Yeah, you don't get on camera, but like it was ridiculously like deep the amount of skin it took off my index finger.
Nah, it's all you youngsters. Back in my day, down coal mines. I think everyone forgets I am. Oh no, Slaw's older than me, surely. How old's
No,
Slaw?
no, Snore's the same age as me.
Oh, so I was the oldest
Yeah.
competitor there, individual there. Yeah.
If you're in season one, you
Yeah,
wouldn't have
what is
been,
it?
but
Is it Gen Zs? I don't even know what I am, to be fair. Am I a Gen
we're millennials.
Are we millennials? Okay. What are you, Lenny?
Generation Z.
Gen Z. All right.
It's wine, if you ask me. The world was a better place in 1996. Yeah, no, luckily I think did I have like Holly in that, which was a bit of a mismatch. Did I have Holly in the tug of war?
Lucy.
Oh, Lucy? Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it must have been Lucy
remember.
because Big Dog and
But
Divya were with each other.
yeah, I think a few people were sorry, a few losers were complaining about the rope.
Hmm.
I could have been killed.
Okay, so you fumbled the immunity challenge, lads. Let's really hope Lucy plays ball. Yeah, a lot of people just rooting for you guys and against the main alliance. How does Isaac know about the advantage? I said Strath talk too loud. Actually, to that fan out there, this is all Sock's fault.
Yeah. If you want to call him a rat next week, then
Apparently, Holly was being really awkward in one of the conversations. I don't know which one it was, but it was probably speaking to one of you two, knowing full well that she was lying to you the whole time. I think backing Divya for the win is an interesting way to break her off. I don't think she'll buy it, but in a just and fair world, she should. I don't know. I think Divya's still in a good spot with Big Dog and Isaac.
yeah, but you don't want her to think that.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Like tell her she won't, but I think realistically, she gets taken to the end by either of them. I don't think she necessarily wins though, but she's got that to deal with after. Um, Apparently, Sock and Isaac were talking over each other aggressively in the strategy section, so it's funny. Holly is right; she's being totally overlooked when in fact she is a great liar. Holly and Divya, this is really the last chance to decide you want off the Big Dog train and the Big Dog Isaac train. It's hard choice time.
Is Chris driving trains yet? Is Big Dog driving trains yet? He's graduated, hasn't he? So,
He actually has like I think he had an interview for
what?
a train driving job.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh,
that's what he
that
told me.
if he goes on to be a train driver, honestly, I think I would be happy if I died. Like that would be my
Yeah.
life complete. Watching that man become a train driver.
Have we manifested it? Is
I
that
think
what's happened?
I think he wore one red tie to like something, and we've manifested that man into becoming a train driver.
It'd be great. Little group trip to ride Chris's train. Feel for it.
Can you imagine that? Chris just like one day pulls up to like a platform somewhere, and there's just like 20 skunks just waving at him.
Well, I'm assuming he'll always be driving the Southampton to Winchester train, so every year we'll go back. Is Big Dog's main personality trait that he just really, really commits to a bit? So at one point we mentioned the Big Dog thing. He's been Big Dog since then. At one point someone's mentioned a train thing. Like, what's next?
He loves it.
Talking about the train drivers, so my brother drives trains, and the other week I tried to ring him, and he didn't answer, and then he rings me back a few hours later, and he's like, "Oh, sorry, I was driving," and I was like, "Okay, well, okay," and just kind of brushed it off, and then we had a conversation, and then like 20 minutes later, I'm thinking back, and I'm like, "Wait, can we go back to the start of the conversation? Why can't you answer the phone while driving?" He's like, "Well, it's illegal." I was like, "No, you just do it on your hands-free." He's like, "No, I was driving a train." I was like,
To be fair, I feel like that's on him to make that clear.
That's exactly what I said. I was like, you need to make it more clear what you were driving.
I think there should be a word for like driving a train, because obviously, like you fly a plane. I think maybe like trundling or something.
No.
Chugging.
But you're not chugging the train, are you?
Well, do you fly it? Well, you do fly a plane, but you pilot a plane.
Yeah, but if you said, "Oh, I'm flying a plane at the," well, if you said I'm flying,
people would
then you'd
understand.
assume
Yeah.
yeah. All right, put down in the comments what you think. We think piloting a train should be called. Hashtag choo choo for the episode. All right, let's finish up Fan Corner. Everyone excited to see Liam again.
Was he just handing out drinks? What was going on there?
To be fair, the man comes in, you see him walking, I was like, "Oh, Liam," and then out of nowhere, he's like, "I don't want an IPA." I was like, I never realised Liam was such a lad. Doesn't just walk in and offer someone a drink, walks in and offers them an IPA. Like, legend, honestly.
Oh, apparently someone had their sleeves rolled up really high. I don't know who, I think maybe Sock. So
you'd put your money on Sock, wouldn't you? Really?
Oh, Mike, that headband you're wearing, that's got to be the headband I had throughout the season. Yeah. Wait, you haven't worn the same head. Don't tell me you in like the podcast you've been wearing the same headband as the person voted out or something similar. Have you? Am I the first person to notice?
I think I told Billy that I was wearing his one in honor of him when he came on, but yeah.
Yeah, I think you are the first person to notice. You paid me 20 of the auction money to wear that instead of me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Luke's cannon.
Yeah, well done for noting. A nice little Easter egg for anyone who's looking at all of the podcast thumbnails and then realizes that I've massively spoiled them, because I've got the big question mark over the person's face. But then if they just take a close enough look at the headband, they'll be like, "Oh, well, it's clearly Strath or it's clearly Will."
Yeah, I think you should add that to my list of many wins as well, if you will. Thank you.
Well, I might have to cut it out because I don't want to ruin it for the viewer. That's just on a thumbnail. Although, do you know what? If they've made it this far into this particular deep dive, then they probably they probably figured it out for themselves. People excited that Lenny survived, but upset for Strath. People saying though that they were excited to hear this interview, Strath. So
it's the accent. I'm telling you. No matter how Mike butchers it, I am charming.
Right, so yeah, thank you for all of the fans that sent stuff in for this week. At the point at which you voted out Strath, who in your mind would be the next two people to follow you? Who are the next two boots after you at the point at which you left?
I think probably Lenny and Sock.
And at the point at which you were voting out, who were you rooting for? Who are you like, do you know what? I'm not making it to the end, but I really hope this person does.
Maybe Divya, I guess. But I can't really remember. Yeah, I think I'd have to just say Divya.
Strath, one thing that I forgot to put in my notes, at the previous tribal council, when I asked you a question, you said that you were surprised that you hadn't been voted out yet, and that the second that you weren't immune, people should vote you out. What do you think now, looking back on that one?
Loose cannon. I'm like the Nicholas Latifi of Survivor Southampton, I'm telling you guys. Oh god, yeah, I didn't. Yeah, I remember you pointing that out, and I was like, I genuinely, I think I was just trying to stir the pot a bit. And admittedly, it stirred it on myself. But I think everyone already had me in their sights as, no, I'm not going to say everyone thought I was the best competitor, but everyone definitely thought I was good in the challenges. I think, or most people thought I was fairly good in the challenges, hence why I got voted out a lot. And I think, so I was like, what's there to lose? People already know I'm fairly good in the challenges. Let's just throw it out there as blandly as I can. I think, yeah, a lot of my comments in that conservatory were rogue. So a little story about Sock that you two will know, and probably a lot of people will know, is his first. So Sock's played frisbee for a long time, as we all know. He's good at frisbee. He's very good at frisbee. He's not particularly tall or jumpy, but he's good. Like arguably a very good player who's going to go. And the first game we had after him and Isaac had been brought into the first because they were two players who'd touched a frisbee before, which arguably a lot of freshers haven't. I go to pick Andy up, who's the men's captain, and Andy gets in my car and he's like, "Oh, Sock's ill, so he's not playing today." So I drive Andy to wide lane. We get out, go and start warming up, and Andy gets a call. I get a call from Sock like, "Oh, I'm stood outside. I've been waiting for like half an hour. Where are you?" Andy had dreamt up that Sock was sick and told me it, and so we just left him. And ever since that, I think that really just sums up Sock. Obviously, that was not something that was remotely his fault, but he's always just someone who
It just would be Sock.
Yeah, he's either in the complete wrong place at the right time, or he's in the right place at the wrong time. Can we talk about his little? Is it like the third or fourth time he's done? What's the guy in the office called? I can't remember his name. You know the guy who always Jim, who like turns and smiles.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
I mean, he did that in this episode, right? When me and Lenny are talking to him and we start walking away, and as he walks past, he just turns and smiles at the camera. Man's a legend, I'm telling you. Another good player who I've had a massive rant at or about in a frisbee match when we played Bath at home. You know that section they put most of our home matches on, like that's round the opposite side of the main road.
Yeah.
And like we were on like an offense, and I'd made a deep cut, and Sock I think had made a cut under, and we were having an awful game, and we were drawing with them like 7-7, and I'd scored like every single point, and Andy had assisted like every single point, and I was fuming already in the game because we should have been miles ahead, and he got thrown this easy up the line, unmarked catch, went for the clap catch, fumbled it. I didn't even realise it had happened. I was like halfway up the pitch, turned around, and they'd picked up the disc and were on the offense. They ended up scoring, and were walking back to our end of the pitch, and I was like, "What happened up there?" And Liam's like, "Oh, Sock dropped the disc," and I was about to fucking go off on him, and Liam butted in and was like, "Oh, just leave him to it," and stuff. And but another player who I think him and Isaac were two players who I enjoyed playing with frisbee with, and I was harsh on them because they were good players, and we definitely should have done better in the season they joined us. But that's frisbee for you. That's any sport for you. Just doesn't go your way sometimes. I don't think it's come up, but we didn't talk about Slaw.
Yeah, well, you got a lot of takes on Slaw's game.
I was more. What's your opinion? Because I think he must have struggled. Like everyone kind of knew everyone, didn't they? Apart from him.
It depends if you use it.
And I mean,
yeah,
he could have used it, but either way, I was like, a red vote must have come up where it was like people were just kind of going to pick on him because they didn't know who he was. And then, I mean, his leaving was excellent. Honestly, I like just I assume it was on because I met Slaw and I know it was scripted to a certain point. I know he had to leave, but like obviously he wasn't annoyed, was it? Was he that annoyed?
No.
No, I didn't think so. Because I don't know him that well, but I know of him, and he doesn't seem like someone who, even if he was annoyed, wears his heart on his sleeve like that and would audibly have a go. But watching him go out and get that clip of pushing the chair over was fucking especially when you know who he is or kind of know who he is as a person and know that is not in his nature from what I've experienced. Yeah, I've heard Liam lose wedding. Apparently Survivor Southampton 3 now.
Yeah, that's what I've heard actually.
Yeah.
I think Liam's actually hosting. I think I get to play that one.
I think you should do a Hunger Games for the next one. Real weapons. 17 people die in Southampton Common.
Yeah, season 3,
Yeah,
Southampton Common, Liam Lou's wedding, the four of us, the three of us and Beth, really strong alliance, I think.
yeah. Obviously,
Yeah.
until Lenny's like, oh no, I've got to backstab someone.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Lenny will turn on us at like final 15, something ridiculous, way too
I don't,
early.
I
you've got to
don't. Yeah,
go
I was just saying.
early, Mike.
I think we'd go in, we'd meet up, and three of us would start walking ahead, and he'd just stab all three of us in the back, and realise he's killed three people. Great, he's outlived three, but then he's all on his own, and there's still like another 16 competitors in the game.
Game's the
The man has
game.
backstabbing in his heart.
He whips out to stab you and then stab them.
Yeah. Bring all my siblings, and whenever someone kills one of them, be like, "Ooh, it's not me," and then just go and get them back.
Look, until I
just-
backstab you, I'm like the loyalist ally you could ask for. I'll stick by you right until I change my mind.
I think that award goes to Oscar, doesn't it? Unless we ask Ben.
Yeah,
Obviously, we discussed it in this podcast how I got my nickname, but you said in like I think one of the previous podcasts you're talking about nicknames, and you're like, oh, so everyone's agreed they're going to call Chris Big Dog, and everyone's agreed they're going to call Slaw, and I was waiting for you to be like, oh, and everyone is agreed they're going to call Strath, and then I realised. No, people just call me Strath, and
That's just your
nobody
name.
knows me as anything else.
But I was actually thinking about that this morning. I was just like, yeah, I don't know why I didn't mention Strath there. Another person clearly with a nickname.
I wasn't planning to turn up and start calling you Clyde again. Try and hit back.
I tell you
Would
what,
be very-
genuinely, it was this close to getting Finn Wang on the season.
Oh, honestly. Oh, talking. There's like you started hiding pictures in episode, not hiding, but putting like little. So talk about Finn Wang. I've got an excellent picture of Finn Wang from a Friday training where he didn't turn up, and I was stood out back, and he was like walking with a girl that he was dating, and like I came in, I got a picture of it because I was like, is this Finn Wang? I came in and I think I collared Big Ratch or something. I was like, do you know Finn Wang's dating someone? And she's like, is it? Or something like that. I was like, yeah. She's like, how do you know? I was like, I just seen it. Like, I'm pretty sure she legged it to go and find him as well. So I've got this random picture on my phone. I don't take a lot of pictures and I don't save a lot of pictures. I delete them. I've got like so I've had this phone for 6 years and I've got maybe 200 photos on it. And one of them is a picture of Finn Wang with a random girl.
I honestly did the exact same. I rocked up. I think I was going to a quiz with Farris or something. I rocked up. I was just outside the library. I had my bike, and Farris was just like, "Oh yeah, I was just speaking to Finn Wang. He was with his girlfriend." And I was like, "Hold my bike. I am running in to see Finn Wang's girlfriend."
There's a couple of other good ones. Surely you got to get the picture of me looking like Max's carer on here, right? You've seen that picture, right?
All these things. All right. If you send them to me, I'll put them in the next the episode after next.
But yeah, and a nice reminder of me launching that frisbee at Max from like 4 yards away in an indoor session once. I'd forgotten all about that.
Well, thank you, Strath, for being so generous with your time and being so able to look back over your own game in a good way. I can't think of the word that I'm going for. Introspectively, that was the word. But either way, thank you very much. I'll see you next week, Lenny, and Strath. Thank you for
My pleasure.
a lovely game.
Thank you.